I do not know what that's about. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That looks okay. All right. All right, family. Hey, Carlotta, long time no see, sistering. All right. So we're going to get started. Greetings, family. This is Cassandra-Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Mm-hmm. I'm back at y'all ass. I know I've been out of here for a long time. Greetings, Tierra. I know I've been MIA for about a week, maybe a little over a week, maybe more than that actually. But I'm here. The last 2 weeks have been kind of insane. Very nothing too terribly bad. Nothing bad really. Just a lot. Oh shit! I'm making a mess. Yeah, nothing bad. Just a lot. Just a lot going on. Damn man. We still going through a lot of changes in California with the aftermath of this fire. I just started. Greetings, Brown Skin Beauty 39 and Guahan Goddess, Carlotta, Sierra. Yeah. Plus I just started school again. What's today? Saturday. On Thursday. It's just a lot. To be honest, it's just a lot. You understand? And I was housing a friend who lost everything in the fire. So for almost a month. And they just moved out yesterday. It's just been a lot. But anyway, I made up my mind that today was not going to go by without me. Helen, how you doing? Without me doing a live. I'll be honest, I don't know what the hell we'll talk about. I debated about it all day. But there's a lot. It's been a lot going on this week. The last 2 weeks. Hell, since we entered into the new year, it's been a lot. A homegirl sent me a text this morning with a link to some, or was it yesterday? It was yesterday. With some link to some drama about y'all president. And and I'll tell you, I don't listen. That shit, I deliberately keep that shit off my radar. I think that I don't think, I know, I am certain that the lunacy coming out consistently from that White House, it's like what do they call it? Smoke and screens. And y'all respond jolly on the spot. Smoke and screens. And as soon as some madness come out that White House, y'all jolly on the spot to respond. Jolly on the spot to feel invested. Not me. Because I've been going back to a that's awesome. Yeah, I've had this thing. Somebody just commented on my poncho. I've had this thing for so many years, probably 20 years, I think. Anyway, well, I don't even remember what I was about to say. Everything coming out. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. So since I did that interview with Mama T, I've gotten a little over 500 new subscribers, which is dope. So thank you for those of you who were not subscribers before that interview and who came to the page to become subscribers. I will remind you to always like, share, and subscribe. Always make comments in any video that you like, because otherwise I won't be up on the algorithm. The algorithm don't like me, don't like my potty mouth. You feel me? So that's the only way I'm going to grow my followers, is through word of mouth, baby. It's because y'all think there's something valuable coming from this page. Okay. With that being said, all these new people who, hey, LYM chick, how you doing, darling? Voiceovers by Stephanie Marie. It's good to see you all here. Anyway, with that being said, with all these new followers, there have been a lot of new comments coming from old videos. People are like, combing through the old shit, which I love. I love when new followers come, because they always want to go. It's interesting. I would assume they want to listen to the most recent thing, but the great majority of them are going all the way back to the beginning. The beginning for me is the reading of the Great Cosmic Mother. So I've been having a lot of people, greetings, Ken. I've been having a lot of people comment on primarily the Great Cosmic Mother and on the Sibyls. Those are the two books of the 7 books that I've read that always still get the most comments, the most visits, so on and so forth. Voiceovers by Stephanie Marie just became an Oshun Perk member. Yay! So anyway, and those of you who are tuning in via IG, if you want to watch or follow via my YouTube channel, it is at DaughterOfTheFates, just like my IG, at DaughterOfTheFates on YouTube. You have to put at and DaughterOfTheFates as one word, or otherwise crazy shit will come up. Like a lot of crazy shit will come up. So you have to kind of wade through that shit. At DaughterOfTheFates, FATES on YouTube. Anyway, I mentioned that these followers and the comments coming from old videos is because I told y'all, every time somebody makes a comment on any video that I have done, especially if that comment has a timestamp in it. I love timestamps. I love timestamps. Every time you comment on my video, leave a timestamp. Tell me in the video what was the thing that stood out to you. It's really much more helpful than you think. I love timestamps, and so a lot of people have been leaving timestamps, and I've been going back to these old videos that I haven't watched in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? And I really love going back to old videos because it's like these breakthrough moments. I told you, I be in the zone when I be up in here. I be up in the zone. I allow myself to be open to what is supposed to come through me in an instant. So sometimes I do not even remember what I said or what the theme was or what was significant in what I said in a moment. I'm plowing through. You feel me? So I really appreciate being able to go back and revisit these old videos, and especially those things that you guys found valuable in what it was that I needed to communicate that day. Greetings, Sage. But let me tell you something. In the last week, a little more than a week, I've been watching these old videos, man. So when I tell you that this shit that is happening right now, I stay amazed. I stay amazed. I go back to old videos and I'm like, God damn, I was talking about this shit like damn near verbatim 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Like, damn, it's happening exactly how I said it would. Damn near word for word for fucking Beto. Okay? That's why I love Fresh Eyes, is because I can go back. Greetings, Lavina. I can go back and you know, I don't even have to speculate. I'm telling y'all what I'm telling y'all, and I can tell you what I tell you. I can tell you what I can tell you because, again, my estimation of my peculiar role in this journey that we're all making at the same time, we all have an important and peculiar role. My important and peculiar role is that my lineage, in conjunction with my lived experiences living in extraordinary extremes, gives me the ability. Plus, I'm a Virgo sun and a Capricorn moon with a Gemini rising. That Virgo shit, baby, we see everything that to everyone else is unseen. We see it all. They are the master. They are the master of systems creations because they can see all the things that are seemingly unrelated and how they can work together to make some shit work more efficiently, to get the goal accomplished more efficiently and quickly and with as little effort as possible. The demystifier of those things. And so the Virgo brain, right? The sign in all with among all of them that are the most likely to be OCD. Now, I'm not OCD, but I can understand why that is the statement. It is because, again, it's like this weirdness in my brain that's always been commented about me since I was a child. Like, why in the world do your brain work like that? You know what I'm saying? I've heard that shit since I was a little girl, right? Where I can just see it all. I can see it all. And for the longest time, I could see everything, even if I did not have the language to articulate what those things were meaning for me at the time. Hence, why the journey had to be what it was, why the extremes had to unfold the way that they did. The reason that I am telling you this, and I try to keep it plain, man, I try to keep it simple because it's just too easy. I understand. I'm so empathetic. I understand why we do what we do. I do. I understand, especially in these so-called spiritual circles. I try very, very hard not to, because another affliction of we Virgos is we have a tendency of being extremely hypercritical. It's only because that hypercriticalness comes from the fact that we are our own worst critics. So instead of dealing with that shit that we are self-critiquing about, we project. You feel me? So in that, I am always trying to navigate that shit in real time. I try not to be hypercritical of issues that I find extremely concerning in all conscious spaces, whether it's political conscious spaces, social conscious spaces, or spiritual conscious spaces. I try to, like, in real time, kind of even out those things that I find more and more problematic as we go along. I'm not rambling. I'm getting to a point. So in the being able to see a variety of things and how they can potentially work together. Let me just say, even in real time, in a practical way, I cannot count on two hands how many people have told me, 3 of whom's weddings I was actually in. How many people have told me I would not have met my life partner had I not known you first? So being able, even when I have house parties here at the house, I try to do it quarterly where I have like a small get together of 10, 15 people. It's always strategic. Yes, I want to bring fresh, loving energy into my house, but the people that I invite are people that I'm like, ooh, they need to know each other because they have some things in common, whether it's skills wise or political wise or business wise, they need to know each other. I had 2 people that I brought to a house party that ended up cutting a whole album together. Never met each other before. So that's what I'm talking about. I hear a lot of Virgos say the same thing. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I always be bringing people together. I'm always like, ooh, that friend need to know that friend. I hear a lot of Virgos say that. So that's our keen, one of our keen abilities, right? Is to make connections. Now, I'm saying this because being able to see things that otherwise are invisible to others, then having the kind of brain that a Gemini placement, whether sun but particularly rising as myself, right? It's purposeful. And in this moment, and in these spaces, in these political circles, the way that I communicate to you, the way that I story tell, it's purposeful. One, it is the acknowledgement that every single solitary day, especially since we shifted into the age of Aquarius. Now, your opinion is your opinion. My personal opinion is that that our official entry into the age of Aquarius started on November 19th of 2024 when we hauled up on that mountain and pulled a jack move on behalf of the goddess Oya. That's my personal opinion. You can hear about 10,000 opinions about the age of Aquarius, but that's my personal position. Was when Pluto, the planet Pluto, officially transitioned into the sign of Aquarius for the next 20 years. Okay. I talk to you this way because with the world, if we're officially in the age of Aquarius, this period is going to require so much of us and to require rapid compliance, rapid action. As soon, because I hear people talk about how they get downloads. Oh, I got to download. Oh, I got to download. And the first question I'm asking was, what you did with it? What'd you do with the download? Did you just keep it as something that you could talk about in your next spiritual discussion or whatever? What did you do with the download? What action did you take once you received the download? Thank you for the donation, Java Watson. What immediate action did you take once you quote received the download? You feel me? There is a world that we are actively creating every day. We are actively shaping and creating the promise that is afforded by our transition into the sign of Aquarius. I mean, into the age of Aquarius. It's a promise. And that's why when I started out by talking about this text that the homegirl sent me about this bullshit with Trump and his meeting with the president of Ukraine and all of that. When I tell you that shit is not on my radar, it is not. It doesn't mean that I'm being like socially or politically evasive. I am not. It doesn't mean that I am being a spiritual bypasser, anything other than that, right? It is not that. It is the fact that as ridiculous, because this shit is straight comedy. Y'all can spend y'all time watching that bullshit if you want to, getting your little panties in a bunch or your underoos in a bunch because of what is happening in the White House. That is a purposeful, poorly orchestrated script of lunacy in reaction to the inevitability of if you have me tell it, an enthusiastically hostile takeover of the age of men. That's my personal opinion. Now, you can call it what you want to call it, but I'm telling you, the more you pay attention to what is happening to that in that White House, and the less you are paying attention to what is happening on the ground, because even you as female, even you as colored, even you as oppressed, even you as colonized, even you as poor, cannot see the value. You cannot accept the value of women's leadership, of the necessity of women being placed in the center for a goddamn change for the first time in 6,000 years. You, even female, you, even black and female, you, even white and female, all of us, by virtue of being spoon-fed patriarchy, being spoon-fed white nationalism since the day we stuck our head out of our mother's bodies, being spoon-fed white nationalism and goddamn patriarchy, none of us, even as the world is falling apart before us, can accept the direct, not elusive, not indirect, the direct relationship that women's suffering, Women's suffering is tied to the suffering of everyone else on earth in all of its varieties of manifestations. Y'all can't see it. Not only can't, refuse, because again of the fact that we have been stuffed to the gorge to accept that this is just the way the world is. And why pay attention to any of that women shit? We have to change the world first before we can, quote, rescue women. That ain't the way. Get off my foot. That ain't the way. Boy, when I tell you we about to box, get up off my foot. Get off my foot, you turkey. Come here. Come here, you big head self. Come here. Come here. I ain't do too much. Hold on, y'all. He is cutting the whole clown right now. Boy, come here. Ah. Big old head self. Ah. Say hey to everybody, yo. Yeah, he's so fine. He's so cute. That big squishy self. That's my boy. That's my boo. They bad as they want to be, but this is my boo. You my boo? You my boo? Okay. Anyway, the reason I said all of that is because as this sister sent me this video about this less than comical BS that just unfolded in this quote squabble between Trump and the president of look at this big old fat boy. He ain't even a year old yet. Look at all the fatness. He's so squishy. Oh, he's so squishy. But even as that BS is unfolding, nobody is talking about what just happened in China. Nobody is talking about what just happened again in Afghanistan. Nobody is talking about the extraordinary crackdown on women that has just unfolded in Afghanistan and is having a reverberating impact on women all over the Arab world. All over the Arab world. And the thing that struck me, right? Because people will just reduce it and say, oh, well, it's just how they are in those countries. It's just how those countries are. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. If you look, I just saw this documentary maybe 3 months ago about the Shah of Iran. And if you look at how the women in Iran were living in the 1970s, your mind would be blown. Your mind would be blown. These women were going to colleges all over the country. They were so much further ahead in the 1970s than they are now. And the problem was being able to see how all things connect. The Shah of Iran, he had serious, hugely problematic contradictions, right? But one of the things that people loved about the Shah of Iran was that he was, quote, progressive. He had friendly relationships with the United States and with England and other places in Europe. And with that came a very progressive Iran. Very progressive. Watching this I'm getting chills just telling you about it. Watching this documentary about the Shah of Iran. And that's the other thing I will say. I will just segue for a second. Is that we in America, particularly people of color, right? Particularly people of color in the United States, because so much has been taken from us in terms of who we are, our identity here in the United States, that we go gung-ho, we go so get down. You ain't gonna keep doing that. You're not gonna be wiggling in my lap and climbing on me. Go on about your life. No, I said no, go on about your life. What we do is we'll do things like spend 4 years in college majoring in, feminist studies or Africana studies or African American studies or Mexican American studies or, queer studies or whatever, which in and of itself is not a problem, but it creates this very narrow this narrow way with which we learn about the world and what it means to us. Why should anybody care about what was happening in Iran under the leadership of the Shah of Iran? It is because he had a relationship to the goddamn CIA, because he had a relationship to the United States government, to England, and all these other imperial powers. It's just this perpetual sleight of hand shit. So yes, the conditions of women were when I tell you guys, light years ahead of how the women live in Iran right now. The 1970s. That's 50 fucking years ago. I was born in 75. That was 50 fucking years ago. How their life, how their lifestyle, how their ability to earn wages was light years ahead of where they are now. And the United States is responsible for that. He, like many other, what do you call them? Proxy leaders propped up and supported by the United States or by England or any other colonial power, it's just interesting because he gave them in his opulence. He gave his opposition, which was, what was his name? Ayatollah. What was his name? Ayatollah. Somebody tell me what his name was. Anyway, he was a what you would call a zealot Sunni Muslim, right? And he had been looking for the appropriate time, because the Shah of Iran was well loved, well liked, because people had better jobs and people could go to school and women could drive in the 1970s. Women could drive and go to school and do all the things, right? All the things that they wanted to do. And so he was well liked. He had an enormous amount of support. For the few who did not support him, it was because he was extraordinarily opulent in his spending, in his show off shit for the Western world. This particular documentary was about the last party that he threw before he was overthrown. Child, this is in 1972, I think. And I think they said the estimate of what he spent to throw this party that was supposed to demonstrate to the world, right, the power of Iran. I think they said the estimate in 1972 was like $50 million. $50 million he spent to throw this party. When I say the shit was the most opulent thing I've ever seen, I'm telling you, there's nothing that has even come close to the party that he threw. He wanted to throw the party in the damn desert. First of all, they in the desert. He wanted to throw the party in the desert, but he does not want his guests, who are all heads of state, every single guest. There was nobody that was not a head of state, and they all came. They all came, except the Queen of England. Everybody came that was invited. She sent a representative, but she was like, I'm the queen. He ain't shit to me. You feel me? But she did send a representative. All heads of state. How am I going to keep the heads of state of the known world comfortable out here in the desert? So he spent months creating a way to plant and sustain trees in the goddamn desert just for this party. He imported, what did I say? He imported like 1 million sparrows or some shit, birds. He imported like 1 million sparrows to fly around in the trees that he done had imported to have trees, to create an actual oasis lovely enough to sustain, I think it was like a 4-day weekend or some shit, to sustain his head of state guests out here in the middle of the goddamn desert. They said he had to import ice from like the Netherlands or some shit. I'm talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of tons of ice from the Netherlands. He had these damn like circus tent type things. You know what I'm saying? They look like circus tents, hand sewn in France to create the little what y'all call it? What in the world? The yurt looking things. He created these kind of yurt looking things, but they look like from the outside. They were kind of like yurts, but they weren't yurts. They looked like yurts, but they were temporary. They looked on the outside like the little striped circus tents from the old days, like the big top circus tents. And on the inside of each one of them, for each head of state, y'all, you're talking about hundreds of people who came from around the world who run countries, kings or presidents or whatever, all heads of state, hundreds of them housed in these damn tents that he had hand sewn in France. And inside each of them, beds, drapes, like mosquito nets, desks, like, like what you call it, like my brain, like what do you call it? What in the hell? Nightstands, like full on furniture, y'all, full on furniture sets for this party in each one of the yurts for hundreds of heads of state. The meals, child, the man spent, I think they said something like $50 million in 1972 to throw this party for all these bougie ass heads of state. And the purpose of the party was to demonstrate Iran's superiority in the world. That was the purpose. That was his vision. He had full-time cinematographers all over the place to film every aspect. And then he did this big parade ceremony, crowning, child, off the chain. Because he spent so much money and he is the leader of Iran, and there's still obvious class, divides in Iran at the time. And the people were like, damn, you got $50 million to spend to have a 4-day party for these damn heads of state, but you can't lift us up out of poverty. Even the poor people loved him, though. Even the poor people loved him. It was a particular group of men who were plotting against the Shah of Iran. Plus, the Shah of Iran, it wasn't like he was he was a golden boy. He was charming. He was good looking. He had a lot of swag. He was very, quote, progressive as progressive goes, but he still ran what, if you didn't know what you were looking at walking through the streets, he still ran. It was very progressive on the outside, but it was a smokescreen. He ran a very totalitarian state. Anybody that had anything to say in opposition to him, anybody that dared question how he was maneuvering, in his position as leader, where there was no trial, they were automatically locked up indefinitely, like smack down. He had a whole secret ass, like our CIA, like these dudes that would just walk around and play, hide in plain sight, waiting for somebody to say something messed up about the Shah of Iran, and then they would clamp down on his ass and ghost his ass, disappear his ass. You feel me? Now, this is my ghetto version telling of the story, but it was that deep. People were being clamped down on. And so those who had been clamped down on in particular started to be this growing discontent, particularly among men, about the Shah of Iran. And so I don't know what his name was. I know they just called him the Ayatollah Muhammad Reza Pahlavi. That might be it. If you look up Ayatollah, of Iran or something like that, you'll see the guy. You'll know his face. You'll be like, oh, I know that guy. I don't know what his name is, but I know that was his title, is Ayatollah, is the Ayatollah or whatever. And he had been looking to restore a much more strict, quote, traditional culture of Islam in Iran. And so the Shah of Iran started losing popularity very radically after spending that kind of money on a party to showboat for a bunch of heads of state. And that was all that the Ayatollah needed to win more to this idea that, quote, order needed to be restored in Iran, and he needed to be overthrown, which is what happened. And so here I'm talking about a documentary that I saw about the Shah of Iran in 1972, 1975, something like that. And we study history just like that. We're talking about an event in a moment, close the subject. That's not how it works. There is a reverberating effect for every single moment, every single quote event that happens in society has a perpetual and unending impact until something challenges that until something challenges that event. Goddamn. Until something challenges that event. I told y'all I came on here. I'm still tired, but I came on here. I didn't know what I was going to talk about, but now I know what I'm going to talk about. So I'm talking about the Shah of Iran, and I started by talking about the sister who sent me the video about Trump and his shenanigans. And I'm like, this shit is a smokescreen. This shit is a deflection, not even a poorly well written one. This shit, all of this shit that y'all are saying, oh my God, war is imminent. Oh my God, these politicians are stealing all our money. Oh my God, all of the ways. Oh my God, they're firing everybody because of DEI. Oh my God, Jesus is coming back for the church. Oh, everybody done kick that shit into overdrive. That fear-mongering, fear tactic ass bullshit. Every way, every area, economically, politically, scientifically, spiritually, religiously, all that shit been turned up. You feel me? I'm like, all right. I know what the issue is. I know what the singular issue is. And so the cranking up the dial on all this bullshit that's got y'all in y'all feelings, it's got y'all terrorized, it's got y'all perplexed out this bitch. You feel me? The turning up the dial on all the fear mongering and shit. I know what it is a singular issue. Say what you want. Say what you want. It's a singular issue. Women, from its origin, from the very first Sumerian mythology that we learn about what it took for Inanna's son to achieve the power that he sought, was the conclusion that he came to that the only way to be as powerful as his mother was to murder his mother. That's the very first story written down in human history, is the story of the son blessed with everything, gifted by his mother all power, all beauty, all wisdom. And he was not satisfied because he was not her. He's like, yeah, I'm all powerful. I can do all the things. She's given me the power to do everything, and it is not enough. I cannot accept that this bitch is more powerful than me. And he begins the slow process of subduing his mother, of ridiculing her in public, of allowing people to make fun of the supreme. And even as she was like, hands off, she was like, you know what? You got it. If it's that serious to you, baby, you are my child. But if power is that serious to you, I stand back. You got it. You're the one. And even her relinquishing of power was not enough to satisfy his lust for power. He did all the things, and he kept fucking up because her child. And so every time his ass fucked up, she had to come save the day. Every time his ass fucked up, she had to come save the day. She had to, and that shit was humiliating to him. So he was vengeful, and he began to learn and feel rage because he had become separated from his mother, not seeing himself, who was gifted with extreme beauty and intellect and wisdom and all the things. He could not see that he and his mother were one. And in his separation, in his self-imposed separation, severance from his mother, he began to go insane. And that insanity became the plotting and the scheming and the disrespect, the subduing, and nothing could quell it. Nothing could satisfy. And so finally, he decided, the only way I am going to be the supreme, the only way that everybody is going to recognize that I'm the one, is I must murder my mother. That's what he did. That's what he did. And I'm telling you, this is our entry into the story that we call patriarchy. Female bodies, people born with uteruses, and all of the potentiality that that represents are, from the beginning, have been throughout time, and continue to be today, the primary target of all patriarchal aggression. And to attempt to sidestep that question, you will forever be chasing yourself around the tail, trying to save the world while stepping over the fucking billions of female uterus possessing bodies that have suffered as a consequence of the implementation of patriarchy on earth. You will forever be spinning your wheels trying to save the whales or save the dolphins or heal the hole in the ozone layer or any of the things that you done said is your personal vice to give you some sense that you are a part of the solution. You feel me? But all the while, you are ignoring what has always consistently, consistently been the issue of the day, no matter what the face of patriarchy looks like at any given time. Whatever the complexion of patriarchy at any given time over this last 6,000 years. It doesn't matter the complexion of patriarchy. It doesn't matter the presentation of patriarchy. Patriarchy in its essence, in its being, in its very fabric, in its very origin, has had a beeline target placed on born female, uterus possessing human beings. That's it. And so I'm just telling you, to look at what's happening in the world right now. The reason I mentioned the Middle East, the reason I got on the thing about the Shah of Iran is because as in August, the Taliban said, okay, we did all this stuff, but now, you know what? We said that y'all had to wear the little things, you feel me? Where all we could see is your eyes, and y'all complied, you feel me? But that ain't enough, because even your eyes is too seductive. Even your eyes be trying your eyes is evil, and they be trying me. They be making me have lustful thoughts. This men. And so now y'all can't even have your eyes showing. Now, so they had to sew little veils that they could still see. You feel me? But now they had to sew veils on their damn hijabs and shit, so the niggas couldn't be, quote, wooed in by their lustful sin-filled eyes. Not only that, this is law. This is law. That not only can men not see their eyes, they cannot speak in public. Like if they go to the grocery store, they cannot speak at all outside their house. This is law. Y'all think this is some shit that just happened in August. Oh, and then some other thing just happened like last week or the week before, where they even clamped down another clamp down on the women under the guise of the Taliban. Y'all think that's just some shit that just happened? This is spreading all over that area of the Middle East. And I'm telling you, I think it is in response, partly in response to that uprising that happened 3 years ago, where the 19-year-old college student in Iran have been arrested because they had a decency police or moral police, and she had her hijab on, but some of her, like a little spring of her hair came out of her hijab in the front, and that was enough to arrest her. And then they beat her to death in prison. And all of these people, 19-year-old baby, and all of these people in Iran, all over the goddamn country, started tearing shit up. And the demonstration went on so long. Men were out there, women were out there. The father of the girl was out there sobbing and crying and carrying on. And it got so deep, and the aggressions against the people demonstrating was so deep and so intimate. And we in America didn't say a word. We didn't do a thing. Business as usual. Business did not stop. We didn't pump the brakes on nothing. We did not offer grand millions of voices of solidarity to what was happening. We didn't do that. And so while these people are demonstrating by the scores of thousands about the murder of this child by the so-called decency police in Iran, so much, because it's illegal to dance in public in Iran. It's illegal to dance in public. It's illegal to sing in public. You feel me? And so people was like, we out here, we gonna break all the laws. We about to break all the laws since we gonna do this demonstration. Women singing, women dancing, people getting pulled out of their house, arrested by the decency police because they didn't seen them dancing in the street during the demonstration. Women taking their hijabs off, taking razors to the demonstration sites and shaving in real time all their goddamn hair off. We didn't say a word, and we didn't pay attention because that's old. That's just some women shit. That's just their culture. That's just something for them to deal with. We didn't say a word. We didn't intervene. And now here we are 3 years later. We're all over this area between the Taliban and Afghanistan, Iran, and all of these other clampdowns around these countries. I'm telling you, my personal position is that is what set it off, because them women and them men as allies got out in that goddamn street by the scores of thousands for months, demonstrating over what happened to that child in the damn prison. And that shit was spreading like wildfire through the Arab world. And they was like, oh no, we can't have this shit. Women out in the motherfucking streets singing and dancing, and they ain't singing lustful songs. They singing protest songs. They talking about tear this shit to the fucking ground. Oh no, we can't have this shit. Now here you are 3 years later, and the women's eyes cannot be seen in public. They will go to prison for speaking in public. And we think that ain't got nothing to do with us. But guess what I just saw today? Because it is so easy for us to separate ourselves from the suffering of others because we cannot relate. I talked to y'all about this the other day, about the brother said he went to Dubai, to some famous dude, went to Dubai to go on vacation, to quote, turn up. That's what he said. I went to Dubai to turn up. And the woman interviewing him, she looked puzzled. She's like, you went to Dubai? He was like, yeah. He was like, it's dope there, blah, blah, blah. She's like, ain't you gay? He was like, yeah, girl, I'm gay. She's like, how you went to Dubai and you gay? That's what she said. He was like, oh, girl, I had to butch it up while I was there. That's what he said. I had to butch it up while I was there. Because for me to be myself, for me to have sovereignty over my own life, how I am in the world, who I am in the world, will have me imprisoned in the place I want to go on vacation and spend my motherfucking money. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about a disconnect. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about a disconnect. Because the interviewer she was astute enough to say, how you went to Dubai? Ain't you gay? He's like, yeah, girl, I'm gay. She's like, well, how you spent a week in Dubai? He was like, oh, I had to butch it up a little bit while I was there. I don't know what the turn up was, because he couldn't play. He couldn't play around. He couldn't do that. So all he could do was drink and party, because he could not be himself. He could not be him. You understand? He could not be him. But was okay taking his black ass hard-earned money to some country that is so oppressive It is not even a secret. The whole country is still today built on the backs of straight up real time broad daylight slavery and the oppression. Listen, go away. Go away. Don't come on here disrespecting my page. Like, don't do that. Man, people like don't y'all got anything better to do? Gone somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I get it. They only say some people just love the proximity to wealth, and that's just pure stupidity. Because what if he didn't hide it as well as he thought? Exactly. First of all, anyway, that wasn't my point. My point is our disconnect. It is our disconnect here in the United States, and I'm talking about us. I'm talking about people of color. I'm talking about people who have been colonized or oppressed in some way. That it is very easy for us through our conditioning to not be able to relate to and empathize with the suffering of others. And because we do not have the ability to do that, that shit spirals. That's why the story about these women going out into the streets in the scores of thousands just 3 years ago. And here we are today. Those same women cannot speak in public for threat of prison. That's what I mean when I talked about the Shah of Iran and how the thing that was so shocking about that video was how progressive the society was. Women walking around in their high heels. They didn't have hijabs on. Not in the 70s. Not in Iran. Sure didn't. I was up in here like, whoa. Wow. Whoa. Walking around in their high heels, carrying their books, you know what I'm saying? Going to and from work, driving cars in the 70s. Today, they all dressed in all black. Now even their eyes hid. The hijabs all the way down to their ankles with black shoes and socks up to their knees so their ankles don't slip up and show. Because even their ankle might turn some potential rapist on. Showing an ankle is you trying to seduce somebody. And I'm saying that in the absence of I'm talking about a global united movement of women, recognizing that since the beginning of this project called Patriarchy, female-born, uterus-possessing humans have been the primary, not exclusive, primary target of patriarchy for one reason and one reason alone. It is because of our ability to generate potential wealth out of thin air. They began, once taking over the craft of husbandry, to see that they could accumulate wealth just by controlling the uteruses of cows or goats or sheep. And they were like, well, damn, if we can even create our own breed of animal by purposefully breeding one with another to get these peculiar characteristics, why can't we do that with our women? This is transformation from the goddess status, revered and everybody born female. That was the harmonizing impact, the unifying impact under the matriarchal period, where even men thrived. But once they became the securers of the craft of husbandry. And for people who don't know what husbandry is when you're taking care of livestock, sheep, goat, cattle, whatever. You're breeding, you're caring for. This is husbandry, okay? And so once males were given possession over the craft of husbandry, which was created by women, and they were like, oh, we can just literally create wealth out of the breeding process. We got 2 sheep, but now we want 4 sheep because it'll give us more buying power in the marketplace. Well, damn, women got uteruses too. Why don't we possess them as well? Of course, this is a very long, slow, methodical process, but everything was tied to it. not just the culture, not just the economics, not just the transition from hunter-gathering people to agrarian people. Also, because spirituality is a reflection of it. It is born as a reflection of cultural relationships, environmental relationships, how people live, move, grow, and evolve together. Your spirituality is directly informed by your interpersonal relationships, your community, and so on and so forth. It's not something ambiguous and disconnected from how you live, how you evolve, how you grow, how you change in terms of how your relationships change. You understand? And so this is the reason when I make a statement about how the primary target from day one of this burgeoning patriarchal society being female bodies, people born female with uteruses as potential wealth creators and generators for males who have now taken control of the birthing process for the sole purpose of generating wealth. So everybody having these conversations about, what are they calling it? The pro-natalist and the anti-natalist movement, every bougie ass confusing word you want to make up for what you're experiencing. It's overpopulation, it's underpopulation, the crisis of the birth drop, and all of this shit is the same thing. It is the different languages used to keep you off task. The single task is the reestablishment of sovereignty in the bodies of people born with uteruses. To control your uterus is to control your whole, not just your own sovereignty, the sovereignty of all of your potential offsprings, the sovereignty of those around you, because you will fight and defend and protect that sovereignty that is directly tied to you being born with a uterus. And nobody can come through that uterus unless you say, I accept, yes, spirit that I do not know, I will allow you to come through my body. I will allow you to feed off my body for 9 months while you create this process for yourself where you can have your own destiny once you come through me. I say yes. It's my say so. Nobody else's. And my economic situation is not going to have an impact because, listen, I just saw this thing the other day. This woman was talking about how much wealth has been stolen from women. Because I talked to y'all about that a few months ago, right? About how this guy was talking about, it was a Forbes magazine article that I wrote about how much the average housewife, full-time parent, the average housewife, full-time parent, average being 2 children per household. That's what they say it needs to be to sustain the population, right? In terms of those who are leaving the workforce and those that are potentially coming into the workforce, each couple should have 2.1 kids, right? And the article said for an average housewife who has 2.1 kids, who is doing everything, she's a full-time housewife. The average housewife in the United States of America should be making minimally like $144,000 or something like that a year, right? And I was like, okay, if that's the case, then you feel me? How much have we been robbed? How much wealth have we been robbed of? And because patriarchy is such a toxic freaking instrument, because it is so prolific in its articulation of everything just being centered around the penis, that even penis possessing people cannot see that they too are being robbed because the people that they have been partnered with is being robbed. If you're married to a woman, right? And I'm telling you that female bodies are the primary, since the beginning, continued into today, female bodies have been the primary target of patriarchal domination because of its potential to generate wealth, right? And you are married to a woman, and you are potentially talking about creating 2.1 human beings that is supposed to generate a certain amount of wealth from the time they enter the workforce until the time that they leave the workforce. And you as a man are so caught up on this whole, I'm the man of the house and it's my decision over everything and I gotta lead and I'm gonna, quote, be the breadwinner and all of this shit. That's what you focused on, because that's what patriarchy teaches you to focus on, is you as the governor of your wife, you as the ruler of your wife, you as the quote Jesus in the church that is your wife, you as the king of your castle. So you so hyper focused on that bullshit that you are completely oblivious to the fact that even if your wife is working, I mean, even if your wife is a full-time caretaker of the potential wealth producing humans that live in your house that came out of her body, that she should be making. Where's that money coming from? She should be making at minimum, according to their statistics, $144,000 a year. You too are being robbed. So your ass working like a slave. My live is about to go off on IG, so I'm gonna have to re-bring it up. Okay. So your ass is being worked to the bone, worked like a slave, because you've been taught that one income should be enough to secure your household. If your ass is white and male, one income may be enough. But more than half of the white men married to women and don't make enough to support a whole household. But instead of you challenging the state that created this bullshit, no, what you're going to do is you're going to turn into the very weapon you were created to be, in opposition to the sovereignty of your partner. You're opposed to your partner's sovereignty because you believe patriarchy. Isn't that a bitch? You are opposed to your partner's sovereignty because you have believed what patriarchy told you. What patriarchy told you you are entitled to, and that if you don't have it, it is some inherent weakness on your part. No, it's not. It's not, because what patriarchy teaches y'all, penis possessing people, is that it's not an inherent weakness on your part, that it's some woman's fault, that it's some other's fault, it's some colored person's fault that you have not achieved what the patriarchal dream tells you that you should have the ability to have. It's just like I was talking to you guys. Remember a few months ago, I did that live called, it was something to the effect of, mothers stop casting spell on your mothers, stop casting spells on your daughters, or women of color, stop casting spells on your daughters. I think it was something like that. It's the same thing. Patriarchy does the same thing to mothers, particularly in their relationships with their girl children, that patriarchy does to people born with penises. People born with penises are given a very specific message that always benefits patriarchy, even if it is at that penis possessing person's expense. And because the penis possessing person is so invested in the patriarchal idealizing of manness, maleness, and patriarchal masculinity under the Father God, that you become the imprisoner of your partner. You not only do not see your partner as an equal, you are vehemently, violently opposed to her sovereignty. You are vehemently and violently opposed to her acquisition and demand for sovereignty. And entering into that relationship as a sovereign equal, then you two would be able to plot together about how you are going to attract what you are owed by virtue of the labor, not only that you have done in this life, but all of your ancestors that have earned that has not yet been come into your possession. You feel what I'm saying? And so instead of, because I'm giving y'all a word, this seed, me talking about the Shah of Iran and how his being overthrown, even though he was an agent of US and European plotting and scheming, that his opulence and his show basically thrusted women for a 50-year period of time, which is peaking at this moment. What we're seeing right now all over the Arab world spreading like wildfire is this crackdown, this extraordinarily violent and suppressive crackdown on women. The reason that we have to see the world differently is because I just saw a video today that I sent to several of y'all that the United States is sending $40 million a year. I just saw this like on like the Congress floor through some kind of Q&A or some kind of investigation. The United States has been consistently for a very long time sending $40 million per week to the Taliban. That's not to mention all of the other, this guy just admitted, the guy that they were questioning, right? Just admitted, well, yes, the Taliban, but he went down the list of so-called terrorist organizations that the United States has on record been funding for decades. So I'm watching today, just today, how this dude say, yeah, we send about $40 million a week to the Taliban. And so for me, my first thing when I saw this shit was, oh my God, yes, it makes sense that the Taliban would be cracking down on the skulls of goddamn women in these Arab countries, and that the United States would be benefiting from these draconian laws that keep women imprisoned every second of their life. Because what I think it was Barbara Moore, maybe? It might have been in The Great Cosmic Mother, but she was talking about the necessity. So deep. She was talking, and even in, I think it was in Beyond God the Father by Mary Daly that we just read. She talked about it too. How she said white women are the most guilty of it. She said all women in the West, but white women are most guilty of it because you remember she talked about that National Geographic article that talked about the women in West and East Africa that have the irons, they get the irons, they start putting the irons on the women's neck, and how the exotification of, quote, foreign cultures gives women in the West just enough distance from it in its strangeness for it to be like, oh, it's interesting to see this cultural tradition that its very origin was to keep women obedient to their husbands. So we look at the women with the long necks and the little irons around their neck, and we say, oh, that's their tradition. We got to lead them people along. That's just their culture. But when the guy writing about the shit in the National Geographic was talking about that, the women, they do this to the girls as soon as they're born. They start putting these irons around their neck, and how doctors, they took several of the women to get like MRIs and stuff to see the kind of deformity that was coming as a consequence of these heavy ass irons on these women's necks. That's got their necks, like they call them the giraffe ladies, got their necks all long like that, and teach them culturally and traditionally how beautiful it is so that they don't rage against the shit. You feel me? And then what happens is if a woman gets out of line, and the other thing they said is the woman gets the irons, and if for some reason she ain't got the irons, like her mama was like, this, that bullshit, and I ain't putting that shit on my baby. If the girl don't have irons, she is, quote, not attractive and cannot attract a husband. So what happens is if she do get the irons like the traditional women do, you feel me? And if she acts up, if she gets out of line, then the husband and his family can remove irons. And because the deformity has been happening for so long, that if all of the irons are removed, she has no muscle strength to hold her own neck up. Do you hear what I'm telling you? And so if she gets out of line bad enough, they will remove all the irons. And because she cannot hold her neck up, her neck will fall and she will suffocate to death. This is culture. This is tradition. This is patriarchal standards of beauty. And then we get on board with that shit because it's so alien to us. It's so far from us. It's so, that we can't even, it don't even compute to us. And so we're like, oh, that's just an interesting thing to learn about Africa or some shit, or the poor women of India or some shit. I'm telling you, I know that this is uncomfortable because I understand what colonization has done to human beings. So we protect and secure and hold on to so tight in our opposition to what the white world has done. We hold on to We hold on to horrible, disfiguring, patriarchal cultures and traditions as a way to, quote, protect our culture and protect our tradition, not recognizing that white supremacy is not the main issue. It is the issue of the day, as the recent personification of patriarchy on the world, on the planet. But white supremacy alone is not the issue. And so we will hold on to insecure, patriarchal, horrible cultures and traditions that are primarily antagonistic to the freedom and sovereignty of women, under the guise of protecting our culture from the white folks, securing our traditions from the white people, even though those traditions are the remnants of colored presentations of patriarchy at some point in human history. And what happens is, in this separation between the so-called, quote, first world and the third world, is we cannot even be healthy, conscious, fully aware allies to women around the world, because they have been exotified. Because they are so, yes, female genital mutilation is a primary example. I had a brother, so-called hardcore, progressive, revolutionary African from Sierra Leone, running for, in the organization I used to be in, the African People's Socialist Party. And we asked, like, yo, you alive right now in Sierra Leone? Like, what? Because he had his own organization called the African Socialist something, I forget. But when we met him, before he, fused his organization with the party, we was like, damn, why ain't nothing on your platform about the culture of female genital mutilation? And you know what this progressive African socialist nationalist said? Well, it is the tradition, and we men don't do it. It's the women that perform female genital mutilation. So we men can't say anything about it. That was his position. Leading an organization of 30,000 people, that was his position. Thomas Sankara was at 25 years old, was the first African leader on the continent in the 1980s. In the 1980s, before it became a popular poster child issue of white feminists in the West, Thomas Sankara was the first president in the whole continent of Africa, in Burkina Faso, to ban female genital mutilation, to ban child marriages. What you mean? In 2005, in 2010, we men can't say nothing about the goddamn culture of female genital mutilation. What you mean? You run an organization of 30,000 people in one of the smallest countries on the continent. What you mean you can't say nothing about it because it's the tradition? That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. And we have to recognize, back again to the whole thing that I mentioned in the beginning. Y'all know I'll be going off, but everything is related. Going back to the Shah of Iran and this long 50-year declination of the progress of women. The 50-year consistent declination, revocation of the rights of women that now today are showing itself the way that it's demonstrating itself, with the crackdown of the rights of women throughout the Arab world, throughout the Middle East, spreading like wildfire. I mentioned China earlier, and how now this new ordinance that has just come out, I haven't done a whole big deep dive on it, but this ordinance that has just come out in China, 2 weeks ago, saying that now marriage is no longer a viable reason for the transfer of wealth. Meaning that if you are a female and you get married and then y'all get divorced, whoever came into the relationship with the wealth, that wealth will solely remain with that person who came into the relationship, right? The problem with this, and all these poor, confused, disillusioned women calling themselves traditionalists will be like, well, that sounds fair to me. I mean, why should a woman get the house if she didn't buy the house or whatever? I heard some of the most lunatic I've seen shit I ever thought I could hear in 2025 coming from the mouths of women. I was dismayed and bewildered, child. The reason that it is problematic is just a few months ago, what was China complaining about? The decrease in the birth rate, the crisis of birth rate, the crisis of marriage, how there's not enough women to go around now because y'all spent damn near 40 years murdering female babies. You done spent 40 years murdering female babies. And so now there ain't enough women to marry the bum ass men that are left in China that you valued so much. Now there ain't no women for them. The other thing is what this ordinance is about. It is a desperate response to imprison women. So now women who may have wanted a divorce, guess what? And the ordinance didn't go right into effect. So what happened in the last 2 weeks was they were saying that there was a grand rush to the divorce offices to get these divorces before the ordinance takes effect so that women can get their shit. Because listen, I don't care if a woman never works in a marriage with a man. If she is married to a man, she is an employee. She's an employee. She's an unpaid servant. What y'all call it? She's an indentured servant. That's what she is. Because she ain't getting a paycheck. She's working for room and board. That's what she's doing. She's working for room and board. She's a sex slave. She's an indentured servant working for room and board. And if she's lucky, she can get out of this situation in 20 or 30 years, you feel me? And at least get a quarter up to half of whatever wealth he generated because she too was working, though she was not getting paid in this 30-year contract, unofficial contract with this dude who wooed her and won her off some bullshit ass philosophy called love. That you win a bitch to a goddamn relationship of indentured servitude where she can generate some potential wealth for your ass through babies. Cook clean, you understand? Buy all the groceries, pay all the bills, you feel me? Give you some sexual gratification at the end of the night. And in response, you give her a place to live. You give her a place to live. So now they don't, and she could hope that at the end of this contract, because I'm probably going to get tired of them in 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, because men do not have to evolve. That's what's wrong. Men are not forced under patriarchy to evolve. And so they don't have anything to bring to the table in general. This is not a blanket statement. I'm not saying all men, but it is a general statement that I'm making, is that because men have not been forced to evolve, women are always forced to evolve. Our circumstances are dire all the time. We are always forced to evolve, to break through, to learn some more, to learn a new skill that can help us come up a little bit. Men are not forced to evolve, not emotionally, not romantically, not socially. They are not forced to evolve. And so there's not much that they can offer in terms of a personality in a relationship, in terms of like, not just quote, being able to win the bread. That's base level shit. That's base level shit. You feel me? I'm talking about in terms of being an enlightened person, having a deep and profound sense of self-confidence, of self. Who am I as a man in the world, and what do I bring into a relationship that will guarantee that my partner will be just as satisfied in the relationship as I am bound to be? You feel me? What is it that I have to offer to my partner that will keep her stimulated, where we can constantly be helping each other evolve as a consequence of this relationship? They aren't forced to do that. And so they always turn to brute force. They always turn to manipulation tactics. They always turn to this shit that patriarchy gives them as the unofficial manual to how to keep your indentured servant subdued. How to keep you. This is where narcissism comes from. How to keep your indentured servant subdued. How to keep your indentured servant from speaking up. How to keep your indentured servant from requiring sovereignty. So you may be, quote, a good husband. What's a good husband? Oh, he buys me things. He gives me an allowance. You feel me? He talks to me nice. You feel me? He doesn't beat me. That's the definition of a good husband. He doesn't beat me. You feel me? And so these things that you call good husband shit are pacifiers. They're pacifiers. That's all they are. Because it still doesn't require him to evolve. It doesn't require him to become more dynamic as a consequence of this relationship with who is supposed to be his divine partner. What would that mean? His divine equal. A whole human within this partnership with another whole human. Not, oh, I was a half a person until I met you, so now together we become one. That's that bullshit. It is a manipulation. It is a manipulation. And if at any single second in that relationship with this person who by virtue of being in the society is never forced, never challenged to evolve, to become his best self, at the moment that you start to demonstrate even anything that remotely looks like an opinion, anything that even remotely looks like the hint of a sovereign statement by a whole human, now you are the issue. You are the reason that we got a divorce. You are the reason our relationship didn't work. It is because your challenge is challenging the fact that I'm not comfortable evolving. It's not what I signed up for. I didn't sign up to be in a relationship with a bitch that was going to try to make me evolve. That's why y'all be hearing this conversation. Why women be getting mad when a man, is who he is in the relate. You knew who he was when you married him. Why you had these expectations of him once y'all got married? That's what she's supposed to do. That's what she's supposed to do. She is supposed to stimulate the desire in you to evolve, to be better, not for her, for your union. You as a whole human, I want to be better. Tell me what you think. This is a challenge. You understand? You want me to say, look, yeah, I knew who you were when we met, but I also thought that there was potential in you to evolve, because that's what it means to be a higher being. It's what it means to be human, is the perpetual state of evolution and emergence. Evolution and emergence. Evolution and emergence. Evolution is the process. Emergence is the breakthrough. Evolution is the process, the growth, the challenge, the back and forth. Emergence is that moment when it clicks, like, oh my God, I am new. I am changed. It's the enlightenment. It's the illumination. That's the emergence. Y'all don't want that because you are comfortable with the scraps that the minuscule scraps at that patriarchy has fed you, and you have sustained your wildly malignant egos on for so long. I'm saying that because China is in a crisis, and China is responding the same way every single solitary country on earth is responding right the fuck now. It wasn't just but a second ago when Putin made the declaration that y'all was all singing Putin praises and carrying on just a hot second ago because he comes out with this declaration that Jesus was actually black, and we got proof. Whether it was AI generated, whether it was true or whatever, it was the greatest and most sickeningly disgusting attempt at a distraction I've ever seen. And it got the attention that they knew it would. Who give a goddamn if Jesus was black? Who in the hell give a damn if Jesus was black? Anybody on here I'm talking to give a damn if Jesus was black? Does that have any radical impact on your existence if he happened to have nappy hair, a big ass nose, and ashy ass black feet? Because even if Jesus was black, it means he is still the facial figure of empire. That's what it means. It means the son who becomes greater than his mother. That's what it means. Even if he chocolate. Y'all got caught up on that. Y'all did. Y'all was like, oh shit. Even the white people in Russia saying Jesus is black. What it mean? What does that mean? Why do y'all give a damn? When just a few seconds ago during COVID, them same Russians talking about, yeah, see, we got proof Jesus was black. You feel me? But them saying, oh yeah, Jesus was black Russians was chasing Africans out of goddamn Russia, mistreating Africans, wasn't letting them get on trains to try to find a place to go, was doing all this terrible, stereotypical, white nationalist ass stuff to the Africans living right there in Russia. And then a half a second later talking about, oh, Jesus was black, and y'all singing Putin praises. Y'all singing Putin praises just a few months ago because he made the declaration Jesus black. And then just last month, December, January, he's like, look, what did he do? Under the same guise of some Department of Decency, What did he do? He said, if I see all language, that's what he said, all language, particularly in media, social media, the newspaper, all language about 4B, about childless women, about child-free life. What else he say? There's like several different, all these people talking about they don't want no babies. It is banned. The fine will be heavy, and eventually the fine will turn into jail time. That's what he just did. Y'all ain't say nothing about that, though. Y'all ain't say nothing about that. Oh, but Putin man, because, Jesus was black. But 2 months after that, this dude done clamped down on every uterus in the country. Not only did he do that, he said if you're female and you don't have children by the time you're 24, you will not be able to go to college. That's what he said. Japan did the same thing. Y'all ain't paying attention to none of that, though. Y'all ain't paying attention to none of that. How everywhere on earth right now in real time, in plain sight, these governments are distracting you with discussions about some penis slinging contest they about to set off in the form of war, while knowing you won't pay attention, knowing you will not pay attention, literally sucking the life. Anything remotely won by women as progressive rights, freedom to move about the cabin are being snatched away in real time. It's happening to you here right in the United States, and y'all still just as oblivious. And you cannot see that the United States is spearheading the whole thing. All of these male heads of state, while they feign, for those of you who do not know what feign mean, while they be on that bullshit and ass faking opposition. That display Trump just put on where, he going ham on the president of Ukraine after they done sent, what is it, $180 billion to Ukraine in the last 4 years. Stop playing. Boy, stop playing. Stop playing. Y'all ain't in no contest. Y'all fake fighting. Y'all shadow boxing. These male heads of state everywhere the hell on earth are in cahoots. When they start putting on these little public displays that get y'all talking about this nonsense for weeks, days, weeks, months, meanwhile, the rights of women are being gobbled up in real time. And these rights being gobbled up in real time are all over the world. These are developed countries that I'm talking about. These ain't so-called third world countries where these laws are happening. These are so-called developed, progressive, first world countries that are gobbling up the rights of women in real time, every single where on earth. And the unifying factor, even if they sound a little different in their articulations, the unifying factor for all of them is how are we going to force these bitches to have babies? These bitches all over the world and decided they don't want no more kids. And romancing them ain't winning it no more. That's what they saying. Oh, romancing them ain't winning them to have babies no more. What we got if we ain't got bullshit ass romance? What we got? What can we use to convince these bitches to have babies? Because babies are the primary currency on the whole planet. On the whole planet. On the whole planet, babies are the primary currency. And the progenitor of babies, we have to be able to control. It used to be that we could manipulate them romantically to control them without any blowback, without any fight back, without any opposition. All we had to do was sing them some love songs and give them some chocolates every once in a while to pacify them. And that alone would be enough for me to convince her to have 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. That shit ain't working no more. Women want more. Women want more because they're radically evolving. Because they're radically evolving. They want more. What is the more that they want? What is the more that they want? They want goddamn sovereignty. That's it. That's the bottom. That is the exclamation point. That's it. even if they can't articulate that it's sovereignty that they are seeking, that it is sovereignty that their spirit is longing for, no matter how they articulate that, whether it's Black women talking about we need a break, we need to go on a 4-year rest. That's, honey, that is a sigh of desperation for sovereignty. That's what it is. They can't articulate it that way because they ain't deep as I am. They ain't on that shit yet. You feel me? That's what it is. Whether it's women in India saying, I just want a good education so I can take care of my family and my people. This is a declaration of the desire for sovereignty. They don't know that because their conditioning tells them that they just have to be a traditionalist. That any skills that you have and any wealth that you acquire has to be to take care of your family. And that's, there's no problem with that. But the declaration is a sigh a sigh of declaration for sovereignty. I want to be sovereign. And sovereignty is not just, quote, some blind, ambiguous freedom. Sovereignty means that everything that I create, everything that I generate, I benefit from. So when Forbes magazine can say that consistently since the end of slavery, women have been turned into indentured servants tied to a relationship that can barely sustain them while we, the 1%, perpetually rob them blind. If they can send $40 million a week to the Taliban. And the Taliban use that to create these governments that can give them the ability to deny the rights of other women. But they are sending for it $40 million a week to the Taliban. Where that $40 million coming from? Where that $40 million, that $180 million, what is it, $188 billion they done sent to the Ukraine for the last 4 years? Where that $188 billion came from? Where that came from? You feel me? The hundreds of billions of dollars that they done sent to Israel for the last 70 something years, where that came from? The hundreds of billions, probably up into the trillions now. Where that came from? Where did that money come? Where did it emerge from? Where it came from? If I'm telling you that the primary currency on the whole of the planet is the guaranteed birth of human beings, which is nothing but labor, nothing but wealth, no different than cattle. Every time a cattle is born, what happens? They brand that cattle. They brand the cattle so everybody knows this is my cow. This is my brand. This is my mark. This is my cow. This is my wealth. If you find my wealth, you better bring it back to me. Don't be going and selling my cow as your cow. This is my wealth. That's what our social security number is. It's our brand because we cattle. There is a guarantee that our, quote, owners know that there is a guarantee based on the social circumstances, economic, financial system, and the goddamn stock market, how much each one of us is supposed to be. They can calculate almost to the penny how much wealth we're going to generate in our entire life, even as children, through the healthcare system, through the daycare system, through the public education system. From the day that we are born, they can calculate almost to the penny how much wealth each one of us is going to generate. That's where them scores of trillions of dollars to Israel has come from. Our blood, our sweat, our tears, our unpaid labor, our cheap labor, our minimum wage labor. So we make the minimum wage, we produce and create the goddamn wealth, but we make the minimum wage for it while you take all the profit for it. And we can't figure out where they get all this money to give to them and to them and to them and to them, but they can't solve their own problems in the United States. There's no incentive to solve the problems in the United States when you have a whole factory of how many people in the United States? 432 million people, and you have a whole factory of 432 million people producing unlimited wealth for you, and don't even buck back. Don't even question. See, we, the 432 million people that live here in the United States, 432 million people that live here in the United States, we in an abusive relationship with a toxic ass husband. The United States of America is a toxic ass husband. Every now and again, early in the relationship, what he do? He love bomb the hell out of you, get you hooked emotionally through through your hormones, through your neurotransmitters, your dopamine, your tryptophan, all the feel-good hormones make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. When he do little cute acts like take you out to dinner and he opens the door for you and he pushes in the chair before he sits down and he orders wine and buys you good drinks, then loves you up real good, dick you down real good, you feel me? You get caught up because your emotions create the hook. Your emotions create the connection. And so he do that. He go, because you ask yourself all the time, like, damn, why he knew to do everything right in the beginning, now he don't do nothing? Why he knew to do all the right things and say all the right things in the beginning, but now he don't do nothing? But you stay in the relationship because breadcrumbs will be dropped every now and again. Every now and again, unexpected, he'll bring you a little card home from work to pacify you. And you're like, damn, it will eventually be like it was in the beginning. And so you hold on, even as you are being bled dry, you spend, they say the average woman, not housewife, the average woman working a job still spends anywhere from 20 to 24 hours a week in her home cleaning, even if she's working. And you do all those things. You go out and get a job. The husband say, baby, I was short on my check this week. I'm going to need you to pick up my slack. You feel me? On my side of the bills because work was slow this week. You feel me? But he love you down real good that night because he kind of feel bad that you got to work some overtime to take up the slack for his shit. You feel me? Or however it looks. This is our relationship with the United States of America. We had a toxic ass abusive relationship with a narcissistic megalomaniac who every now and again makes us all feel good and warm and fuzzy inside, like with Super Bowl. That's the one thing we can all unite around is we all love football. We all love basketball, and color don't exist when we all united around our favorite team. Or some crisis, like what happened here with the fires in Los Angeles. We all one community. We all one family. Even as you living in a house that costs $3.5 million is the average house cost. $3.5 million to $25 million. And I live over here in the hood. You feel me? We all one. See, the crisis unites us. It is the catastrophe that unites us. All right. It's war that gets us super patriotic. Isn't that something? Meanwhile, your ass is literally living in a constant state of fight or flight, elevated cortisol and homocysteine levels, because from literally week to week, you do not know if you will be able to maintain just your place to live, just the roof, just the place to live. Even as you work in a 40-hour work week and got 2 or 3 side hustles. But at least I live in the greatest country on earth. As the greatest country on earth is denying you health care and adequate child care and dental care and all of the things that you need. You feel me? At least I live in the greatest country on earth. As they sending $80 billion a year to Israel, as they're sending $40 million a week to a terrorist organization that they created, by the way, to maintain enemy consciousness in an area that they are trying to take over. As they are creating an enemy consciousness. America, that ain't no conspiracy shit. You can go all the way back to look, especially since the founding of the Federal Reserve, and see how the United States has strategically and historically, through every single solitary president. There are no good presidents. Stop talking about Kennedy. Stop talking about Carter. Stop talking about these goddamn presidents like any of them have been benevolent. Stop talking about Abraham Lincoln. Every single solitary one of these presidents, while feigning the good guy in the front, was doing diabolically monstrous shit behind closed doors. Every single solitary one. And the one thing that has been consistent among them all is the playing of and funding of both sides of every global aggression, because they always benefit economically, they always benefit strategically, they always benefit politically. So it's not a stretch for the guy to say, yeah, we send about $40 million a week to the Taliban. The Taliban is necessary to create the constant destabilization of the Middle East that guarantees that once we great white people, we great white soldiers, we great white leaders of the United States and the Western world come in to lay claim that which has been besieged by the playing of both sides, that we have consistently fed, we have consistently fueled, and all we had to do is get some Negroes and some Mexicans, some Native Americans and some yellow people and some poor white people to work their ass to the bone to generate the funds for us to continue to do this, to create this hegemony that we have all over the planet. We fund that shit. We, taxpayer, working ass, day labor ass, slave labor ass, buying in the market ass people. Because even if you working under the table, bitch, you shopping somewhere. Them tax dollars you spending when you purchase shit, that shit is funding every aggression on earth that the United States has its hands in. Every single one. We all are guilty. We all are guilty. Unless you grow, well, you know what I'm saying? We all are guilty. We all are guilty. That doesn't mean we're all responsible. It means that we are all guilty. We all participate in the that's how they set this bitch up, is to guarantee that you ain't got no options but to participate in the suffering of others. You ain't got no choice. If you want to survive, you got to participate in the exploitation of other human beings. It's just the way this shit is set up. You know what I'm saying? I think I mentioned this years ago. I used to talk about it a lot, but there's a survey that you can take online. It was maybe about 4 or 5 years ago that I took it. It's called slavery. The website is called slaveryfootprint.org. Slaveryfootprint.org. So you've heard, up until that point, I'd only heard about carbon footprint, like how to measure your own personal carbon footprint. How much waste are you producing? How wasteful are you? And then I had stopped eating chocolate because I'd found out that 93% of chocolate that we eat, even the ones that have the cute little packages and are really expensive and says fair trade chocolate and all of that shit, sleight of hand shit, that even quote fair trade chocolate, it's called fair trade because it has to have a quote lower percentage of slave labor, a lower percentage of slave labor. But 93% of all chocolate produced on earth is produced by child slavery. I was like, well, goddamn, I can't eat chocolate no more, right? And so my homegirl, my roommate at the time, brought me home this big old, and I'd already made the declaration, I don't eat chocolate. And she brought me this big old giant chocolate bar home. I can't remember the name of it. I'll find it and let y'all know. But this chocolate bar is the only chocolate company on earth that claims to be 100%, that it's on the packaging, 100% slavery free, 100% slavery free. And I could just hear the angel singing, oh, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, that's chocolate. And inside the package of the chocolate, I'm going to find out the bar. But in this inside the package, it has all of this information, all of these statistics from all over the world, the different companies that claim to be fair trade, but they have this percentage or that percentage of child slavery, whatever. It was dope. So I'm here reading all the inner lining of this chocolate bar, and it was the one, and in it led me to this website called slaveryfootprint.org. And challenged everybody that ate the chocolate to take this survey that's on this website. And so I feel like I am way ahead of the curve of people my age. So what I call my constituents, people around my age group, in terms of my buying habits, my spending habits. And so I feel like I am extremely conscious. Like I have to take my trash out. Like I have to take a trash bag out of my house about once every 2.5 to 3 weeks. Like I am very, 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 I'm very neurotic, I'm really neurotic about waste and about, and even about my shopping habits. Once I learned that the majority of blue jeans produced on earth is tied to slave labor, tied to slave labor and how these blue gene companies that we love so much will actually strategically go to countries that do not have any environmental protection agencies and have their genes produced in those countries. And so the people who are producing blue genes around the world are dying from respiratory issues and from cancers because these companies go to avoid environmental protections, go to third world countries and have people produce these blue jeans. I was like, damn, I can never buy another pair of blue jeans in my goddamn life unless I'm buying them from the Goodwill or some shit. So I was like, okay, cool. I don't wear blue jeans. But so I feel like I'm extremely responsible. I am very, very cognizant of my spending habits. And I have been for a long time, for over 20 years, right? So I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna take this survey on slaveryfootprint.org. How many people have to work for free to support your life? How many people have to work for free to support your life? I was like, you know what? Let me take this thing because I know I'm good. Certain shit I don't buy. You feel me? Certain shit I don't buy because I know. Certain foods I do not eat because I know. You feel me? So I think I'm good. You feel me? I take this goddamn survey. This was 5 years ago. I took this survey, and I'll tell you if you want to take the survey, and I encourage everybody to. I encourage to own your shit, to know your shit, so that it challenges you to adjust. It challenges you to adjust. Just own your shit. I've had people tell me, I don't want to know. What I've told them about slaveryfootprint.org, they're like, I don't want to know. That is gross. And that is how this bitch can continue to thrive. That's how billionaires can continue to be billionaires because of that attitude. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. You feel me? So I took the survey, y'all. I think it's going to be low because the questions, you don't even know how deep the questions get. It's going to take you about 10, 15 minutes to answer the survey. Okay. They ask you everything. How many articles of leather clothing do you own? How many pairs of tennis shoes do you own? How many cotton t-shirts do you own? Cotton shirts of any kind do you own? How many pairs of blue jeans do you own? Do you eat pineapples in the winter? Do you live in a place where pineapples or mangoes or papaya don't fall off no tree in your backyard? Like when I say that, how many cans of tuna do you eat? What else they ask? Shit, I would never even have contemplated thinking about. How many cups of coffee do you drink a day, a week, a month? How many times do you eat out? You understand? What else? How many shopping days, like for clothes? How many times a year do you go clothes shopping? We're actually looking for several articles of clothing, like a wardrobe kind of change. How many times a year do you go shopping? You understand? It was so much. It was interesting though. Even the questions were like, damn, I didn't even think about that. Wow. Right? Baby. And I am ahead of the curve of my age group, of my community growing up, poor, Black, Southern Alabama. I am light years ahead of the average curve. And at the end of that goddamn survey, there's like, bitch, yes, you ahead of the curve. Your average is much lower than the average person. But guess what, bitch? 25 people on this planet have to work for free every day to support your buying habits. 25 people a day, Cassandra-Floyd, have to work for free to accommodate your life. Somewhere on earth, some child, some man, or some woman, because of how this bitch is set up, 25 people somewhere on this planet have to work for free to maintain your lifestyle. Child, I'm cool now, but even revisiting this thing, when I say I took that shit so personal, I took it so personal. And they don't just make the statement after they do the calculation. They tell you the ways based on what your answers. They tell you the ways that you can adjust. They tell you the things that you can remove and substitute with. They tell you. Child. Now I'm ahead of the curve. You understand? I don't really have to do recycling. I don't really have to do recycling. I used to recycle, but I'm like, damn, 72% of that shit is just going to end up in the landfill anyway. So I stopped buying shit that really required recycling. If it's paper, if it's cardboard or anything like that, child, I have that shit right now. My entire office room closet is stacked to the brim with cardboard, cardboard, egg crates, paper, junk mail. That shit ain't gone to the trash. I'm trying to figure out right now how to become a goddamn paper mache artist just so I don't have to throw this paper in my goddamn closet in the garbage can. What kind of functional shit can I make with the trash? I ain't lying. I'm gonna take a picture just to show y'all I ain't lying. Hold on. I got something over here. I just started collecting the other day. I got these cats. I got another bag in the kitchen. I got these cats. And I ain't about to get that deep. I ain't about to start making cat food. So I'm gonna keep buying cans of cat food. But in the meantime, I save all the cans and I save all the tops. I got a bag this big full of cat food tops with the little clinks on them. I'm like, okay, what can I make with this? So I got to clean these bitches up and figure out what kind of trinkets I can make with the cat food tops. Look at this. See all these bottle tops? This is a bag full of bottle tops. See, all kind of bottle tops in there. From wine bottles, all kind of shit. The bottles that these was attached to, sitting right up here I got about 50 bottles right up here on my kitchen counter. So I don't even recycle like that. You feel me? I save these shits so I don't have to walk around feeling guilty because I'm not gonna stop drinking wine. Like, that's not gonna happen. So, and I'm not gonna make wine. So I'm gonna buy bottles of wine, but I'm gonna take responsibility for the waste that I generate. And that shit's not going into recycling because it doesn't go to recycling. So when I say I'm light years ahead of the curve, I mean that shit. You feel me? Eggshells don't go in the garbage. I told y'all, I don't put food waste in the trash can at all. I have a bag right there. Just like people compost in their house. I don't compost. I don't have no need to compost. But I have a composter right there in my kitchen. So all my food scraps, I never throw food in the trash, no matter what it is. I never throw it in the trash. What did I tell y'all I do? I will bag up my food waste and take it out as a ceremony to do offering to Hecate. As soon as I heard that woman talking about, oh, you can do all the cute shit for Hecate. I make cascarilla out of my eggshells too. I have a whole bag of eggshells hanging on one of the doors in my kitchen. I don't throw eggshells away. And I don't throw coffee grinds away. I got a whole big old thing of coffee grinds in my kitchen in a glass jar. I'll lay them out, let them dry, and then put them in a jar, and I use them, right? But I told y'all as soon as I heard this woman, because I had been feeling fucked up. I'm like, damn, all these food scraps, you feel me? I just did not want to throw food in the garbage of any kind, onion tops, nothing. And I saw this woman, all matter of fact, talking about Hecate and how people always want to do the pretty stuff for Hecate, like cakes or wine or whatever. She was like, but what Hecate loves most is refuse, your trash, your food scraps. That's what she loves most. Why? Because I told you, man, we be making offerings and it be so bougie and it's not functional. That's not how culture began. It's not how culture was created. And so when I hear the story about the reason that Hecate loves food scraps is because she is the guardian of the dark spaces. She's the guardian of the underworld, the triple goddess, guardian of the underworld. She takes care of those things that we otherwise would not. Who is that? Worms, maggots, creepy crawlies, gnats, flies. These are her babies. These are her children. And so she say, look, give me your refuse, give me your food scraps so my babies too can eat. And I was like, yes, instantly made sense. I'm always having a little garbage bag full of food in my car to find some place, some crossroads or some place that I could offer my food scraps to Hecate so her babies too can eat. Because what does Ephi say? Ephi says the greatest of all ebas. Y'all ain't got to be out here killing goats. And I'm telling you, somebody gonna be mad. Somebody was mad the other day. I got to tell y'all about that. Then I'm gonna get the fuck up off this call. But there's 256 Odu in the Ifa Odu, and there's all kinds of sacrifices. You got to kill a goat, and you got to kill a bull, and you got to kill a chicken, and you got to kill a rooster, and all of that shit, and that's fine. But I'm telling you, living in an African village and watching how that shit takes place, I'm like, this is not harmonious union with the spirit world. Nope. And then I have a Babalawo tell me that people conveniently forget it all the time. But the Odu say that the Odu is literally called the king of Ebas. The greatest of all Ebas is to feed one's mouth. The greatest of all Ebas is to feed one's mouth. Well, we'll get caught up thinking it means, and it does, feeding other people. Yes, it does. But guess what it also means? Having an offering that the spirits can benefit from, meaning they babies can eat, the gnats, the flies, the maggots, the worms, the vultures, the crows. This is feeding one's mouth. I haven't heard a brother say that he was a Oshun priest. He was like, to give an offering that the animals don't eat, there's no ashe in it. There's no ashe in an offering that the animals cannot consume. So I don't throw little pennies anymore. No, that's cute. Okay, cool. Do you? That's not a judgment. But if you want to be sure that your offering is being powered the fuck up, make sure the creatures of the night can consume it. You understand? So, how did I get on that? Damn. How did I get on that? How did I get on that, child? I don't even remember. Somebody remind me how I got on that. Oh yeah, the darn chocolate and the slaveryfootprint.org. Take the survey. It's not for the faint of heart. I'll be honest. It's gonna make you feel judged. I'll be honest. Oh, my whole reason for getting on that was talking about how I'm ahead of the curve. I think I'm hella progressive. I think I'm a really real. I mean, there are people who are more radical than I am. That's cool. But I think as it goes, I think I am ahead of the curve and have been for a long time about, being conscious and aware of where I can tighten up and how I'm producing waste that I shouldn't be producing or whatever. And that shit was like, yeah, this cute girl, but there's still 25 people around the planet that got to work for free to support your life. These are the ways you can tighten up. These are the ways you can tighten up. And I'm going to say two more things and I'm going to get off the phone. It's important for us to have this conversation because it's empowering. Yes, I felt judged when I first took the survey, but then it was empowering. It was like, you know what? Okay. Yes. It makes the world smaller. It makes us see that we are all connected, that our actions in the world do have an impact on others all the time, that the web created by the Father God is the one that we must destroy. And we have to re-implement the web created by the Fates. That was a harmonious web. That was one where every good action reverberated out into a million directions and spread like wildfire. You feel me? And in relationship to that, all of this, because all of this that I've been saying tonight is connected. Okay. When I talked about the Shah of Iran, when I talked about that demonstration that happened in Iran, I think it was during COVID or maybe right on the backside of COVID where that young lady was killed by the morality police. I've been hearing this shit all week, how all these different countries are implementing morality police or the Department of Morality. I just saw a thing last night where Chechnya, who know anything about Chechnya? Chechnya just implemented a Department of Moral Code. I think it was what it was called. A Department of Moral Code. And the reason that they were in the news yesterday is because the Department of the Moral Code created a ban, a countrywide ban on all music that did not fit within a particular beats per minute. Y'all, you cannot make this motherfucking shit up. Chechnya just created a musical ban on all music that fell below 80 beats per minute and above 116 beats per minute. That just happened yesterday. I just saw a whole long ass thing. And the reason that it was so interesting is because Chechnyan music is dance music. You see the men they standing right up, but their legs going all over the place, but their body is just direct, and their feet just be, and they be doing real turning. The music, their traditional music, is extremely fast. The one guy he is a musician. I just watched several of his videos in a row last night because it was brilliant. But he was always talking. Every last one of his videos is like about the political implications of music. His page is great. He did the first one that he did was is a white boy. The first one that I saw was a 1 hour and like 50-minute piece, like video essay that he did on how music theory is white supremacy. Yo, I was in here hollering. It was so well researched. It was so deep and thorough. Now, y'all know I have a music background. I've been playing an instrument since I was in the 5th grade. Like, my whole foundation is music theory. This kid, oh, it was so good. It was so good. I will remember the name of this kid and like maybe put it in the description or something. But anyway, the one that he did, the last one that I saw, was on this ban just implemented by Chechnya, talking about all music below 80 beats per. So my IG is about to stop again. I'm gonna have to bring it up because it ends at the top of every hour. Shit. Anyway. So he's talking about this band in Chechnya. And so they took like one of the primary songs that is a typical Chechnyan traditional song and measured the beats per minute. The beats per minute for this one particular song they were playing was 220 beats per minute, like crazy fast. This is the traditional folk music of Chechnya, right? And how most of the traditional songs are anywhere from 160 to 220 beats per minute. And the country, under the quote new Department of Moral Code or Standards or something, just banned essentially a whole giant chunk of the nation's traditional folk music in creating a ban under moral code of any music that is below 80 beats per minute and above 116 beats per minute. And the woman that he interviewed was saying that that the loophole that people can attempt to use is that even though the beats per minute, measuring the beats per minute in 4/4 is 220 beats per minute on like this traditional song they were playing, she said when you see the men dancing, they're actually dancing as if the song is in 8/4, or I think 8/4, which means they're dancing half time. So even though the music itself is 220 beats per minute, it is still almost safe. No, it was like it basically claimed to just below the 116 beats per minute that is legal. so they could say that because they're dancing in half time, they're dancing the song in half time, that they should be able to like challenge it in court, this music that is outside of now what is the musical code in Chechnya. Then he went on to talk about all of the countries that actually have laws, national laws, in opposition to certain types of music. He was talking about how in England, it is still on the books. Nobody's out looking for people anymore the way that they were in the 90s, not 100 years ago. Not 100 years ago. In the 1990s, in England banned, what did he call the music? I forget what he called it, but it was essentially electronica. So house music became really globally famous, and in response, people were making all kind of music that was like house music. It was repetitive, it was long going, it was high beats per minute. And there was a certain style of electronica that had become popular in England in the 1990s, y'all. And in response, because it was seen as leading to decadent behavior, England banned music that had a repetitious beat. That was the language. That if it had a repetitious beat, it was banned. And he said, in doing the research for this particular episode that he was doing, he started researching all the countries that had laws in some way under moral code against music, against certain types of music. I was up in here befuddled, y'all. I was up in here like shook. Then I saw another documentary a few weeks ago about Egypt, women dancing in Egypt, and how if you are a professional dancer, like a belly dancer in Egypt, you have to go. They have a Department of Moral Standards. And if you are a dancer in Egypt, you have to go before the Department of Moral Standards, and you have to demonstrate your style of dance in real time. Then you get a permit and a license to dance legally in Egypt. A teacher, a professor at a university in Egypt, was at her house. She was at her house. Okay. This year, this 2024. This woman was at her house, and a friend was visiting from outside the country, and she and her friend went up on her roof. She had like one of them roofs with like a little deck and everything, like, furniture and everything. Her and her friend were just having a good time. She in from out of the country, and they're taking their iPhones, and they're like, taking video of each other or whatever. And she, she's still fully dressed in her hijab and shit. But she's like, hey, da, 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 da. They're just up on the roof chilling, listening to music. And she's like, hey, da, 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 da. And she takes her hijab. She at home. She takes her hijab off, and her hair flings out. She's like, hey. And so her hair, like a belly dancer, her hair is like hanging. Hey, da, 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 da. And she dancing. Child, the video goes viral of her. The video wasn't even a minute long. The video goes viral of her and her homegirl dancing up on the roof. She gets a knock at the door from the Department of Moral Standards, telling her that she has been removed from her tenured position at the university she had been teaching at for 22 years for being caught dancing illegally in the country of Egypt. That just happened. And so y'all think y'all just gonna be up here in the United States and all this shit happening all over the goddamn planet is gonna allow us to remain untouched? Well, that's just that crazy Arab shit over there. You feel me? The women can't dance at their own house. The women can't dance at their own house. You got to go to the damn Department of Moral Codes and Standards to get your music approved before you can listen to it in the privacy of your own home or some crazy ass night. I'm sitting here laughing about the shit because I'm like, this shit is coming. And I'm going to tell you, I told you this woman got mad and stopped participating like in the book club and everything, because she said that she felt like I was fear mongering when I was talking maybe about 3 years ago. Yeah, it was about 3 years ago. I was talking a lot about all of the signs around the world, and particularly in this country, that we need to be paying attention to. These signs, whether it's in movies, whether it's in media, whether it's in music, are preparing us to accept the increase of violence against women. They are prepping us. They are priming us to accept it when it happens, to accept the increase in violence against women. I'd been saying that for years. This girl got all in her feelings. She said, I don't feel like this is very encouraging. I feel like it's fear mongering. I said, how is it? As a matter of fact, I remember exactly when it happened. When it happened was right after the Supreme Court made the official declaration that Roe v. Wade had been overturned. I was like, how am I fear mongering? How am I fear mongering when the Supreme Court just overturned Roe v. Wade 2 weeks ago? This is the evidence of an increase in violence against women. I said it's not just about the overturning of Roe v. Wade. It is the immediate impact that it had. The young girl in New York who had a miscarriage in her apartment because she couldn't afford to go to the emergency room and was arrested and put in jail for supposedly under the suspicion of trying to self-abort. The young girl in Pennsylvania, 24, 25-year-old girl who owned a little witchy shop selling crystals and stuff, being approached by 5 armed sheriffs based on a law, an ordinance that had never been removed from the law in 1887, targeting gypsies. There was an influx of gypsies into Pennsylvania, and in order to prevent them from making money, they put a law on the books saying it was illegal to read cards, it was illegal to divine, it was illegal to, quote, tell the future. And under this law that was still on the books from 1887 Pennsylvania, they done bum rushed this girl's shop, talking about, if we hear any more complaints of you reading tarot in the shop, if you ain't just selling your crystals and selling stuff, but you doing readings in the shop, we gonna come and shut this shit down and put your ass in jail. Fear mongering. What United States your ass live in, where the statistics say that the increase in violence against women catapulted during COVID. A 32% increase against the violence against women during COVID. Fear mongering. What USA you live in? I said, but what I am talking about is about how the narratives that are coming through these systems of entertainment that are going to numb the general population to react swiftly when they see the violence against women. That's what I mean when I say we are being groomed, we're being prepped to accept an increase in violence against women. We're being groomed to accept. All you got to do is say a bitch is a witch. And now everything that she does, or everything violent that happens to her, becomes justified because bitch is a witch. You see it in real time. What happened to Meg Thee Stallion if it was not that? The girl got shot. Laying on the ground in a bikini, surrounded by police officers with their arms drawn because they did not know what had happened. Got all of them on the ground at 3 o'clock in the morning. She recovers, and none of you, male or female, believed a word she said. Even after the jury came back and was like, damn, that's messed up what that dude did. He guilty. Put his ass in jail. He shot that girl and he meant to shoot her. Because he was a hating ass Negro. You feel me? None of you believed her. Even after the damn documentary came out, y'all was like, damn, well, I mean, why she lie? Why she lie to Gail? Why she lie to Gail? Why she tell Gail she didn't sleep with him? Because first of all, that wasn't none of her damn business. And it wasn't the point of the documentary. It wasn't the point. But what I'm talking about is even her lying about sleeping with some bum ass nigga that she was probably humiliated that she slept with him in the first place. Right? Even like her just having sex with him, now becomes the justification for the violent act committed against her. You feel me? So it's not a reach. It's not a stretch. That's what all this shit happening in Hollywood has been about. That I told y'all about. I won't rehash it. But that's what I told y'all. All this devil shit. You know, what's his name? Lil Nas X doing a lap dance on the devil lap, looking like the serpent. Meg Thee Stallion in the snake outfit. What's her name? Doja Cat dressed up as a little red-eyed demon. They are trying to get you to specifically see in your mind synonymous with evil and everything bad and apocalyptic is some black ass person, particularly those that are either LGBTQIA or female, that synonymous with evil, the devil, the end, the apocalypse, the antichrist, all things bad is somebody black. That has been happening for a good decade and a half. This constant through all the media, seeing synonymous with darkness and evil and witchcraft and wretchedness and the Illuminati takeover of hip hop and all of that shit, synonymous with everything, quote, problematic and antagonistic to the American way is black and female or female adjacent LGBTQIA. You feel me? Black, female, or black, female adjacent LGBTQIA. Everything synonymous with what's wrong with the country and its good traditional Christian values is black and female or black, female adjacent LGBTQIA. That has been the song spinning on this record consistently for at least 20 years. And that is purposeful, because if I'm telling you it is Orthodox Jews and evangelical Christians and the CIA that work in cahoots to push out film, videos, music, media, and cinema to serve their purposes, and that all of these images are coming from these institutions. All these are Christian and Judaistic institutions. So why are they making all this shit? Why all these Jewish producers and directors making all this devilish shit? Because it serves the state. And so when the state decides, okay, now we done created enough rabid ass anti-female reactionary ass evangelical men and they women, now we know that nobody is going to come and defend these that we have perpetually made to be the evil ones causing all the problems in the United States of America. Who was it? It was some woman that's in like a high position of power in Israel. And she said, in Israel, she live in Israel. She work in Israel. And she said the greatest threat to Israel's safety is black young people. That's what she said. That's what she said in a panel discussion in front of hundreds of people. Bitch, what you talking about? Black young people. Bitch, you live in Israel. How black young people represent the greatest threat to the safety of Israel? Your ass in Israel. You don't live here. You live in Israel. What we got to do with you? Because they are clear, even as we are not. What they're calling witchy behavior, what they calling witchcraft, is rebellion. It's rebellion. That's why the images. What does the Bible say? The Bible even says it. Witchcraft is as the sin of rebellion. What do they say about witchcraft? Suffer a witch not to live. Well, if they talk about witchcraft is the sin of rebellion, and rebellion is evil and witches are evil, and if you ain't supposed to suffer a witch to live, then what are you supposed to be doing to the rebels? What are you supposed to be doing to the rebellious? Those who buck against, those who fight back. You run through them just like you would a witch. As far as we're concerned, they the same thing. Witchcraft is a sin of rebellion. And rebellion in the Old Testament had your ass getting stomped to death with big old boulders knocked upside your head and shit. So when I talk about the general population being prepped, being primed, being nulled through images and music to accept a strategy of the increase of violence against women by the state. And then I'm talking about Iran and how all these women just a few years ago were shaving their hair off in public in opposition to the murder of a child by the moral police. And you don't think that shit is not going to spread. I'm telling you how Russia then said, if you do not volunteer to have babies by the time you're 24, you cannot have a higher education. You can't go to college in Russia. If you ain't had at least one child by the age of 24, you can't go to college here. Oh, you think you about to just get a divorce and take half of what you are owed in that divorce for sustaining that man's life while you go to work? You divorce. If you ain't come into the bitch with shit, you ain't getting shit once you get out. So the women are like, fuck it, we out now. We out while we can get what we getting, because we ain't getting married no more. we ain't getting married no more. Hey, y'all done spent 40 damn years killing female babies there is no other developed country, 52 developed countries, no other developed country on earth other than China, because of 40 years of female infanticide, where the population of males greatly outweighs the population of females. Nowhere. Y'all did that. Don't be trying to punish women. Y'all did that. They're saying that it's so bad in China, the quote birthing crisis that they having now, after 40 years of one child laws and murdering female babies. The crisis is so bad that human trafficking in the form of wife slavery has increased in China. Child wife slavery? They go into other countries and kidnapping wives. No, we ain't gonna pay our debts to the mother. We're not gonna pay our debts to females. We're not gonna pay our debts to mothers who we forced, handcuffed to tables and took their babies. Nah, we ain't gonna pay reparations. We are not going to attempt to restore the damage that we, the government, did for 40 years that has created this catastrophe of there being 30 million missing fucking potential female babies that would now be women out this joint. No, we just gonna further punish women. If you married, don't expect you leaving with anything, so you better stay your ass where you at. If you don't want to end up homeless, you better stay where you at. Yep, even if he kicking your ass, better stay where you at, because you ain't getting nothing if you leave. Japan just implemented some crazy ass laws that are mimicking the ones in Russia, talking about preventing women from being able to go to school if they don't commit to having a baby by a certain age or something carrying on. And y'all think these are developed nations, man. These are nations that we have contact with. If y'all think that there's some kind of big ass invisible border or wall that's going to protect we women in the West from the quote draconian, archaic, it's just because they Muslims, it's just because they lower than us over there. That ain't nothing we got to worry about over here. While there's still 38 states in the United States where child marriage is still legal. A child can be married off to a grown-up with parental consent at the age of 10 years old, right here in the United States, right here in the U.S., right here in the United States. But y'all think, I didn't even know it. I got a homegirl right here. I did not even know this till like 6 months ago when this homegirl called and asked me, do you know some people that deal with so-and-so and this and this? I was like, why? Because I know a lot of people who run nonprofits or do like charity work or whatever. I was like, why? That's odd. I don't even remember what the thing was. But when she told me why, she said, oh, we working on drafting it's like drafting like a bill proposal, maybe. I think it's like a bill proposal. Our organization is drafting a bill proposal to change the age of marriage. The age of marriage in the state of California. I was like, what you mean? She is like, do you know that there is not No, not the age of marriage, the age of consent. California, child, super progressive. Oh, California is so progressive. Do you know that California, there is no age of consent? There is no age of consent, child. Grown-ups can literally not go to jail. I was like, what? In California? She said, girl, in California, there is no age of consent. So it makes it very difficult to try people who are parasitic against children. It's I've seen some of the craziest shit in my life right here in California. And I ain't talking about people like stereotypical crazy, like people with bohas, nothing like that. I was at a mall or something, and I saw this. I saw this old ass man. When I say old, I mean older than me old. I mean older than me old. I mean older than me old. Dressed just like the person that he was standing next to, and they were holding hands. And my knee-jerk response was that they were father and son, because the person that he was with, man, he did not look, he looked maybe 15. He might have been 15. They were dressed just alike and they were holding hands. My knee-jerk response, because I'm a parent, you feel me? So I'm like, oh, that's cute. And then I looked again and I was like, oh, it was just that quick. I was like, oh, father, son. But then there was a look. It was in the man. The look in the man which was what alerted me. And I was just like, and everybody just walking by like, oh, like nothing. And I thought about that child. I thought about that child when this girl told me, a couple of years later, that there's no age of consent in this state. Anyway, and then I want to tell y'all one more story. How long I've been up on here? I want to tell y'all one more story. Y'all know that day before yesterday was the new moon, right? And my initial intention, it was really impromptu. I talked about wanting to do something for the new moon, but I was exhausted. I was so unmotivated the last 2 weeks. I'll be honest. I know a lot of y'all got an attitude with me. I swear I'm going to be returning emails. I'm going to be booking y'all appointments, but the last 2 weeks have been a lot, a mountainous a lot. Okay. And I'm just now feeling like a normal human being, like the last 24 hours. So I was like, okay, I should do something for the new year. It was very impromptu. My intention was to broadcast it live, but I was like, I don't even feel like going through these changes. Let me just go over here, do the little new moon thing, see who we can get in a day. Like that morning, I started sending out texts. You want to come do a new moon thing up here at the house? And that's what happened. And there ended up being about 10 people there, which was good considering I started school that same day. So I went straight there from 2 hours of class. So we go up on the mountain, the same sisters house, right? And so we go up on there, and I keep saying everything is a learning experience. I don't want to learn anything else like that. I don't want to learn anything else like that. You feel me? Leave me alone, Java Watson. I'm just there was a person there, a woman my age. I'd met her once before. Our conversation was cool. The before. I organized this gathering. It is an event I organized. Okay. This girl is EIWO, or was EIWO. And, her Elay is here. She lived in the Bay Area, but her Elay is here. And I don't know a lot about her, but I know that she is a Mexican woman, a Mexican-born woman. She is more what we call white presenting, but she is still a Mexican, right? She is a white presenting Mexican who is a devotee of Ifa. She's a devotee. And typically, that would be like a point of unity, like, oh, okay, yeah. Da, da, da. There was an immediate, it was instant, it was immediate interaction with this woman among a group of other people. There were men and women there at the new moon ceremony. And everything became a point of contention. Why you at something that I created that you so uncomfortable that everything I have to say, you have to contend with, right? So I'm trying, while maintaining a level of diplomacy, still take control of what I came there to do. So we did a paper burning ritual. I brought my little cauldron and I brought some paper and I told people, write your intentions, write what it is that you desire. But, for those of you who are new, there's a way that we conspire. Like, we don't say ambiguous, quote, prayers or manifestations about just wanting to come up or, to attract prosperity and abundance into my life. That ain't no shit we're on. So I just want you to be aware of that when you create your intention, to be intentional not only about your personal life, but also simultaneously about that life being reflected everywhere. That if you're praying for abundance for yourself or calling in abundance for yourself, to know that that source of abundance in your life, in the greater whole's life, is tied to something. In the doing, there must be a simultaneous undoing. This just ambiguous manifestation rituals, that ain't no shit we're on. That if you recognize that there is a need for abundance, when you pray for abundance, it's because you need it. Something is absent. If you're not facing, oh, this thing is getting hot. If you're not facing why you even have to do a abundance request, if you're not acknowledging, just like I just spent all that time telling you that women have been perpetually robbed, we've been free day laborers under the guise of romantic love and marriage, and that we are owed our money back. I told y'all I'm a millionaire a couple of times over. I need y'all to unhand my money. Y'all sending $40 million a week to the goddamn Taliban, man. I need my money back. I need my money back. My mama had 2, she need her money back. My big mama had 9, she need her money back. You feel me? We being robbed in broad daylight, and we'll call it everything but what the fuck it is. Y'all can give $80 billion a year to goddamn Israel, but you can't pay me back. You can't pay me back my shit. They get free education on the United States bill. They get free health care on the United States bill. I just read the other day that Trump just approved the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces. The IDF just afforded them, what did they say they gave them? It was some kind of specific type of health care that even U.S. military don't get. So they get all the perks, all the privileges. Y'all act like we acting crazy when we ask for that shit here, but they get it. All that stuff that we ask for, and y'all look at us like we lost our damn mind. Like we some radical socialists for asking for universal health care. We acting like revolutionary radical socialists when we talk about free higher education. But we weirdos when we ask for it over here. But y'all seeing our hard-earned money over to Israel, and all the things that's foreign to you when it's us, y'all have afforded to people who live in Israel. Y'all can afford without even a debate. They get that. You feel me? And y'all don't know how to articulate Y'all still think it's a democracy you living in. So you still try to reason and articulate and create the statistical analysis that justifies that everybody in this country need universal health care and free higher education, like you reasoning with the reasonable, instead of articulating like pump the brakes on all this shit. Ain't no money going no motherfucking where on earth until we get ours back. Until we get back what we are owed, all of us. Until we get back what we owe, y'all ain't we shutting this whole motherfucker down. Ain't no business as usual. Ain't no business as usual. Ain't no money going no the fuck where for no the fuck reason until we get back what has been yanked from our possession. That's your abundance. That's your abundance. Now, I didn't mean to go off like that, but I'm just telling you, your prayers have to be a reflection of your political understanding. Your petitions to the mother has to be a reflection of your political understanding, of your economic understanding of your circumstances. Why you need to petition the mother? Why do you need to pray to the Orisha? Why do you need to pray to any damn body for abundance, a healthy life, and this and that and the other? It is an acknowledgement that it has been stolen from you. It is to acknowledge that that what you are petitioning for has been stolen from you. And so what you're actually petitioning for is, Spirit, I need you to rally on my side while I go and get my shit back. I need protection. I need to be covered. I need to be squatted up while I go and get my shit back. That's what the petition needs to be, if you have me tell it. Now, you just praying and wishing that some spirit of benevolence will change the wicked heart and ways of those who robbed you in the first place. That's some fairy tale shit. That's some fairy tale shit. So if you're going to take and put something in the pot, let it be a name, you feel me, tied directly to wealth that has been stolen. If you're going to write a petition, free up the political space so that we can make a contest to retrieve our shit. Or whatever, you feel me? But your prayers can't be no ambiguous, weird shit. You feel me? So that's what I'm saying. And in it, like I always do, tell sisters, if you capture your moon blood, bring your moon blood with you to the ceremony, right? I told y'all, and this was the point of contention with this woman. This is how I got on this. So I brought my moon blood and nobody else did. Everybody else brought different offerings, but none of the sisters brought moon blood. And so I was like, and before they even wrote their petition, I was like, we put blood on it. We put blood on every ritual we do. We put blood on it. I brought mine. Nobody else brought theirs. I put blood on it. So everybody wrote their petition, folded it up, put it in a pot. She held on to hers and she said, I want to ask a question about why you put your menstrual blood. Because what I did was just took a little drop on my finger and just put it on each individual paper. I just put it on each individual paper, just like a drop of my own moon blood. And she was like, I want to ask you why you put your menstrual blood on the petitions. I was like, yeah, I don't mind you asking. Since you're, this is your first time doing ceremony with us. She was like, well, because, the tradition is real, particular about, blood and sacrifice or blood and ceremony. I said, I was a devotee for 20 years, dear. You don't have to school me. I knew what she was doing, but I was like, I was still entertaining that shit. But like, don't be up in here. Yes, you're initiated. Yeah, you EIWO, white presenting Mexican girl. This is still my shit. Even as I am no longer a devotee of Ifa, it's still my shit. Don't be up in here trying to school me. Okay. So I entertained the little question because I understand how taboo menstrual blood is in Ifa. It's extremely taboo. People are liable to cuss you out just for asking the question, genuinely asking the question, like, what's wrong with moon blood? People will cuss you out about that shit. Don't even ask it. That's the position. And I told her, I said, my position when I started using moon blood in ceremony and in ritual was because of my historical understanding that they can actually pinpoint the point in human history around the world where moon blood ceased to suffice as offering in ritual ceremony. And at the same time, typically around the beginning of the Iron Age is when ritual animal sacrifice began to replace the blood that the moon blood had been offered for some 25,000 years. That there's no evidence in many countries around the world of ritual animal sacrifice until around the beginning of the Iron Age. You understand? I said, so that's why. I said, I don't practice. I know what Ifa says. I said, but I don't practice animal ritual sacrifice anymore. And this is why evolution is so important. This is why one of the reasons I went into that diatribe earlier about the women with the giraffe women with the iron plates on their neck, and how we will yield to cultural traditions that are obviously oppressive to us. That if a husband has a grudge on a day, he can call on his family members to hold the women down, to remove their irons on their necks, knowing that they will suffocate to death because they don't have enough muscular strength in their neck to hold their heads up. That we will yield to cultural traditions that are obviously antagonistic to the actual lives of women, because it's how we always did it. It is our tradition and shit. I said, and at the end of the day, I said, I believe that blood is okay. I said, but women bled out of their bodies since the beginning of time. Human beings have been on earth for 1.5 million years approximately, and we have bled out of our bodies, and it's been enough for the earth, and it's been enough for ceremony. And all of a sudden, for 6,000 years, now, because the evidence of a woman's magical power is an aggression in their minds to the emergence of the Father God, now what has been sacred for 1 million years becomes the greatest taboo on earth. The greatest single consistent throughout the whole planet taboo is the woman's menstrual blood. Isn't that something? And so Ifa says, I told him the story about my ex-fiance, Babalao, who went ballistic. I put my hand on his shoulder, like around him, put my hand on his shoulder, and he knew that I'd started bleeding that morning, and he went off. Don't you ever put your hand that close to my head again while you're bleeding. I said, what the fuck? Because I was still relatively young in the tradition. I didn't know. I was like, what the hell? He was like, you cannot touch my head while you are on your cycle. You cannot touch my head while you're bleeding. What did he say? You'll take all my power or something like that. Child, he went off, like angry with me, off. I was like, what? You'll take all my power if you put your bloody menstruating hand on my head while you bleeding. The greatest taboo, consistent taboo on earth. I said, that's why we use moon blood. That's why I tell these women to bring their moon blood. That is why I took my own bare hands in that first ceremony that we did up on that mountain on November 19th and put all day moon blood in my hand and mixed it with my own and covered our petitions with it and covered our candle with it. That's why I did that, because I trust me. I trust us. I trust what comes out of us, the evidence of the creative power of life. I trust that. I trust that. I trust that. Yo ass, she gonna sit there and stage a contest with me about using menstrual blood in the ceremony, but ain't got no problem with Babalao cutting the head of a chicken off on her altar and then being required to lick the blood off the chicken's neck while his body is still moving. Ask me how I know. I was in the tradition. Us participating in bull ceremony, digging a hole big enough to bury a bull, men dressed in white, women dressed in white, circling the bull. I'm talking about a full on 3-ton bull, bred from day one to eventually become the ritual sacrifice of our ceremony. Bred and cared for to eventually become the ritual sacrifice of our ceremony. And watch these men wrestle the bull to the ground. And while we sang above the hole in the ground, and the men were in the hole of the ground, singing to the bull to subdue him, he became so calm as soon as the women started singing. As soon as the women started singing, he stopped fighting. He stopped fighting. And to watch Babalao take a ceremonial blade and split his neck from ear to ear. And then we had all of our prayers, all of our petitions, all of our ancestral trinkets, things that we had off our ancestral shrine, and put it under the blood of this bull so that all of our things could be covered in the blood of this bull. And all of us seeking the opportunity to get a little bit of the bull's blood on our hand so we too could take part in the blessings coming from this ritual sacrifice of this animal that we did. I know the tradition. Don't be up in the space that I goddamn create. Because I don't feel like it was a genuine inquisition that she made because of the way she behaved the rest of the night. You understand? I don't believe it was a genuine. She wanted to stage opposition. You feel me? She wanted to stage opposition. And I remember the moment that as a matter of fact, I remember clearly the moment that I said I would never solicit ritual animal sacrifice on my behalf again. I bleed out of my body. Thank the goddess that I'm still bleeding out of my body. And that's why I maintain the discipline to capture my own moon blood and sit with it and go to her for it. I was reminded of a story that we read. I think it was in the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets about this Egyptian queen who had begun as a priestess, as a temple priestess. And then she, I don't remember which pharaoh she married, but she, learning the secrets of the priest in the temple of the goddess before getting married, they say that she had such reverence for the blood. She was a priest of Sekhmet. Sekhmet is the owner of the menstrual, what they call the mysteries of the menstrual cycle. And that she had such a high reverence for her moon blood. They said it was so sacred to her that in her whole life, she never let a single drop spill. She never let a single drop spill. You feel me? And this girl who is Yawo ain't got no problem cutting the neck of a chicken or a goat or a cock or whatever animal that is required to be sacrificed for ceremony, licking the blood of that animal to consecrate or to increase the ashe of the offering. But you got a problem with me as a priestess of a temple taking a single fingertip drop of my own moon blood to power up your petition and put it in this pot and set it ablaze to ensure that it goes to heaven. So she was the only one who refused it. She said, I'm going to put my name in the pot after everybody else does, so it's on the top, but I don't want your blood on it. That's what she said. I said, you can put your name in, you can put your petition in the pot. And in my mind, I was like, you ain't getting no shout out from it. Ain't shit coming from it. Ain't shit coming from it. And the other thing that I thought about that interaction was I was like, this girl spent all this time in an African tradition, this white presenting Mexican in an African tradition. And I bet, and all the time that she was in the tradition, and in all the ways the tradition was teaching her something new and outside her comfort zone as a Catholic born Mexican, I guarantee you 1,000% There was never a singular, solitary time that some penis possessing priest said to her, do X, Y, and Z, and she staged an opposition. I guarantee you. I guarantee she never even asked the question, why I gotta lick the blood off the chicken neck? I guarantee she ain't never asked it. Feigning to be just inquisitive. I'm just curious. Feigning to be inquisitive. I guarantee you, I'm willing to bet money on it. I guarantee you, in all her years, this girl went through the process, had to wear all white for a year, couldn't let nobody touch her skin. That's what it means to be EIO, to become an initiate. You have to dress in white, all white, every single day. Your hair have to be covered for a whole year. Nobody can touch your skin for a whole year. She done went through that discipline for the culture and the tradition. She done did all that stuff. And I guarantee you, not a single time, and all of the things that are new to her, all of the things that are unfamiliar to her, being Mexican, being indigenous and white as a Mexican, because she's white presenting. So but she still looked like she may have some, indigenous features. You feel me? So to be white presenting, presumably indigenous and white, indigenous and Spaniard. So all this shit unfamiliar to you. And I guarantee you, in all that time, you ain't asked a single priest. You ain't asked a single baba. You feel me? What purpose does it serve for me to lick the blood off the chicken neck after you done squeezed this blood on my altar? I just want to know the significance of what it means. I guarantee you that it has never happened. But as soon as sitting in a space where some Black woman is leading, everything became a process of inquisition. Oh, I'm just trying to understand. Then I had the nerve to tell somebody all after the fact, I just feel like I wasn't being heard. I just feel like I wasn't being heard. White woman, it is not your time to be heard in a space where I call the space and I am leading. I just don't feel like I was being heard. Yeah, and I was reminded, this is the last thing I'm going to say. I was reminded, this happened last year. The same thing on this new moon, just a couple days, happened just last year. Remember, one of the girls was there actually from the year before. Remember, I was telling y'all I went to this new moon on top of another mountain here in LA. It was a bunch of indigenous women. 2 of them were Peruvian women doing Mesa ceremony before we started. And I have training in Mesa ceremony, right? I've got my Mesa up under my ancestral shrine, under my ancestral altar. And this little white girl who was a roommate to one of the sister that invited me. She was the one I was telling you on this new moon, on the Scorpio new moon. And this girl, anyway, couldn't have been 25. My teacher, I trained under the Shipipo people. My teacher says, he says. I was like, ugh. That even as a woman, colored or not colored, y'all will listen to a penis possessing person and never ask a question. Not an inquest. Nothing. Just whatever he say. Okay, boss. You got it, boss. Let you be sitting in a space with an elder. I'm an elder now, y'all. With an elder, mother, grandmother, 26 plus year activist, 20-year revolutionary militant activist, 20 plus year healer, and you know everything because your teacher told you. My teacher, who is Shapipo, told me. You feel me? Listen, I be on the brink, y'all. I be on the brink. I be on the brink, and I be trying to figure out how I'ma handle in real time somebody. This is a small space, you feel me? I'm like, being the diplomat, you feel me? None of these people are used to me. But I said that night, I spoke my intention that night. I said, this building up here on Sunset Boulevard, this geodesic dome right here on Sunset Boulevard, about 3 blocks from my house, that's going to be our building. It is going to be our building. It's a beautiful, big old geodesic dome that literally looks like the big fat belly of a pregnant woman about to give birth. And the walkway, because it used to be the Cineramic Theater, the entryway is diagonal. And so as soon as I saw the building, I was like, oh my God, this has got to be the temple. Because the two walkways that enter the box offices, literally I envisioned the box offices being graffiti style painted like the two open legs of a woman giving birth, and you can see her big old fat belly, like she on her back. You see the big old fat belly, the geodesic dome, and then the two little box offices that look like her open spread legs and vagina as you walking into her vagina. You feel me? I was like, this got to be the temple. I spoke that the other night. I was like, that's got to be our building. I said, and now we have to envision is because that geodesic dome, like they show movies where the whole thing is the movie. So you can show movies where it look like your ass is in the womb again, like the universe, the stars, like you in Newt's body again. You feel me? I was like, this got to be the temple. That's my petition for the night. That building and all that is necessary to sustain it. All that's necessary to sustain the purchase, everything. That building has to be ours. It has to be the temple's, right? So this is what I'm speaking at this new moon ceremony, and also the preservation of the sister's property that we were currently on, because the state trying to steal her shit. And we're trying to right now find a lawyer that can help us navigate how the 501c3 status of the temple can secure her building, like maybe get it categorized as like an ashram or something to protect her building, because the city is trying to tear her structures down. So anyway, those were my two petitions for that night. But it's like, even thinking about random people like who just hear about the temple and want to come into the place. I was telling them that night, I was like, we're gonna have to create protocols that are very strict about how people enter into our sacred space. So you ain't gonna come the fuck up in here and attempt to set no terms. That's not what's gonna happen. It's not what's going to happen. We didn't let everybody else set the terms. We have let everybody else set the terms. This period, especially for these next 20 years, while Oya is on the scene, while Oya is staging a contest with our opposition, the terms that we set are the terms that must be complied with. Outside of that, baby, there are a million and one bullshitting ass places you can go to have a spiritual experience. This ain't one of them. This ain't one of them. Not if you expect that you about to come up in here and set no terms. Oh, I'm just being inquisitive. I just want to understand. No, you don't. You hate Black women. That's all it translates to. You are so opposed to the leadership of Black women that everything becomes a point of contention. Everything. Shit that I know is, yeah, well, bitch, you ain't never asked no question about. Probably ain't never even read about on your own. You just accepted it because the Bible said so. You probably didn't even go on your own after licking that chicken blood off that damn chicken neck. Go home and say, for what reason in E5 do they lick the blood off the chicken neck? Just to inquire, just to ease your curiosity. I guarantee you ain't did that shit. But let a Black bitch be in a position to lead And if you didn't want Black women to lead, you shouldn't have put our asses in this position in the first place. If you didn't want Black women to take a position where it's what the fuck we say now for a change, and that is word. If how the preacher said, that's biblical. Is word, is what the fuck I say for right now. Now, if we can set this shit off and win something and clarify some space, we can make it more democratic later on down the line. But be clear when you the fuck up in here. Up in the temple of evolutionary emergence, I am never biting my goddamn tongue. We are trying to implement the dictatorship of the mothers. That's it. Y'all don't listen to everybody else. We all have done it. We've all given everybody else the benefit of the doubt. We've done everything that everybody else has said. We have complied with every rule, every law, every institution, every motherfucking thing, and we are no better off than we ever have been. As a matter of fact, we are walking both feet first into the worst period identifiable of the last at least 400, 500 years. Think I'm lying? There are 8 million people, according to the Department of Human Trafficking in the United States. There are 8 million children that go missing in this world every year. 8 million a year. 8 million a year. Right now, today, the United States government estimates that there is over 928,000 people being held against their will as slaves in some fashion or another in the United States, in the continental U.S. 924,000, almost 1 million people being held against their will as slaves, whether it's labor slaves or sex slaves in this country right now today. So don't tell me it was worse under slavery when slavery never ended and now it's so well hidden that y'all don't give a fuck. 8 million, man, I saw this shit the other day. 8 million babies a year go missing. Don't tell me. We are literally walking blind as hell into the worst goddamn situations that we have experienced since damn near the birth of patriarchy itself, because they've become so cunning in how to execute oppression. So don't tell me. If you don't want if you mad about the leadership of Black women, if you mad about some shit some Black woman got to say out her mouth about how she trying to establish the dictatorship of the mothers, be mad and go somewhere else and let the world remain how it is. But don't come up in my space talking about you want to challenge somebody. I'm just being inquisitive. You can go be inquisitive somewhere the fuck else. Go to your teacher and ask him. Go to Peru. Go visit the Shipibo and see if they have the answer. You can't occupy this space, baby. You can't occupy this space. You can't be up in here. So what these things continue to teach me is, even as I be trying to be the diplomat, you feel me? Even as I be trying to be the diplomat, recognizing that everybody in some way or another has been victimized by the shit, including white people. Trying to be the diplomat, trying to create a space where you can see and experience in real time what the future can be. Creating a sovereign space, right? Where everybody that's in the space makes the commitment, makes the vow in real time. I not only honor my sovereignty, but I honor violently the sovereignty of everybody in this space for me. As much as I would defend my own sovereignty, I will defend the sovereignty of everybody in this room. This is the commitment that I make to my mother. This is the commitment that I make to the goddess in this moment, to show the world that the new can exist in real time. That's the commitment I make while I'm in this space. That's the commitment I can make while I'm in this space. Not only that, not only is this the commitment that I make while I'm in this space, but if I betray this commitment, then I accept whatever the judgment is of the representatives of the mothers in real time in this space. This is the level of commitment that I have to the future. This is the level of commitment that I have to the sovereignty of the entire world. Is to honor that right now in real time in this space called the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence for this 2 hours, where we have 2 hours to demonstrate to the world what the future can be right this moment. That we don't have to wait for it. that it can be this right in this moment before I enter into the gates of my mother's womb, right? The geodesic dome with the legs spread open, welcoming her babies back into her for an experience. A transcendental 5-dimensional experience that can show that the past, the future, and the present can exist in real time at the same time, and that we have the ability to impact upon it in real time. And before you walk up into the space, you have to take the vow that for the next 2 hours, I am creating the future right now for the next 2 hours. And in the creating, in my role as an active participating architect of the future right now, I honor above all else the sovereignty of myself and the sovereignty of all others who occupy this space. And in the honoring of that sovereignty, I commit that anything that happens to any that not like see that in honoring other people's sovereignty in this now, in this future that we're creating right now, in this future that I'm committing to right now as an active participant, as an architect of the future, that I will defend violently the sovereignty of those who occupy the space with me. I will guarantee their sovereignty. That's the commitment that I make, because mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. This is the way that I make that commitment for these 2 hours. Take the vow before you can even walk through the gates, baby. You covered. We have a sacred amiro made where you can take your sacred bath before entering into the space. And then you enter new. And you emerge at the end new. You understand what I'm saying? So no, even if it's 5 of us on the mountain doing a new moon ceremony that seems like cool, and we have some food, you feel me, and we just shooting the shit, and it's still sacred ceremony, and bitch, you can't come up in here set no motherfucking terms. No. Even though you got a uterus, you cannot set any terms in this space. That's what the fuck I say. There will be an opportunity for discussion and feedback. We might even have, like, you know how they have the cute little suggestion boxes? We might even have something like that. And with an open mind, an open heart, and an open spirit, I will consider those things. But to be up in here trying to corrupt space, well, what I understand and what I learned, I have a question. Bitch, I see through you. You are not smarter than me. I'm sorry. All that. That shit was so obvious. It was so gross. So gross. And then for the homie to tell me all after the fact that she was like, I just didn't feel seen. I didn't feel heard. Now, the hardcore Black nationalist political activist that I formerly was, had I heard that shit, had she not whispered that shit behind some closed doors, it ain't your time to be seen, bitch. It ain't your time to be seen. You done had your time. You done had your time, and we ain't no better off. You done had your time. White woman, you done had your time. You done had your time to take a justifiable and righteous position on behalf of humanity, to use your proximity to the face of oppression to change some shit. And what you did was you sided with that. You didn't change shit. Your complicity, as a matter of fact, made shit worse. 3 goddamn ways of feminism, and here we got babies talking about being trad wives. Oh, so no, this ain't the time for you to be seen or heard. This ain't the time for you to be seen or heard. You're going to have to be okay with that. And I know you can't be. So you can be somewhere else. I'm going to tell you, the line is getting harder and harder every day. Because I'm tired of seeing children being murdered. I am. I'm tired of seeing horrible statistics about the suffering of women and children. I'm tired of it. I'm fucking fed the fuck up. I'm fed all the way to, and so I don't have nothing in me. I don't have nothing in me anymore about trying to protect the feelings of soft ass motherfuckers who do not realize that we are in a goddamn contest that means whether or not we can live in the end. That's how serious it is. And some of y'all ain't seeing it that serious. This thing is going to determine whether we can continue to live or not. It's that serious. And you talking about you don't feel seen or heard. Bitch, if you don't get out my face, go on about your motherfucking life. Go be seen or heard somewhere the fuck else. Go create your own shit. There been cults and organizations adopt you in LA, bitch. Go. It took me 24 hours. To get the goddamn temple registered as a religious 501c3. Go set some shit off on your side of town. Go corral you and your crew to do the thing. But you ain't gonna be up in here setting no motherfucking terms, bitch. When I say what comes out of the mouth of somebody black, uterus possessing, and a melanated ass, nappy hair ass, big nose ass having ass, fat belly ass having ass, say out her mouth is what is supreme in this space. That's what I ain't even trying to sugarcoat shit. Is what the fuck we say. Is what the fuck we say. And if you ain't comfortable with that, baby, I don't even hate you for it. No, literally, absolutely no judgment. There are other places that you can be that can accommodate what you own. This is not one of them. It's just not. It's not gonna be. It's not going to be. So I just wanted y'all to know how this new moon set off what is promising to be an incredibly chaotic month of March. All the astrology for the month of March is crazy. That's all it. Just expect that the month is crazy, and coast the crazy like you on a surfboard. That's all I can tell you. Surf the crazy like you on a surfboard instead of letting it subdue you. Because now you know. I ain't even got to give you all the ins and outs. It's gonna be crazy. Just be prepared for the crazy. You feel me? We gonna be transitioning into Aries season here in a hot second. There's just a lot happening in this player. We just had that goddamn seven planetary alignment last night on the backside of that damn new moon. It's like an arrow in 7 planets. And that arrow, which is the coming Aries, is shooting through them damn 7 planets. While we in Pisces, going into Aries, the month is gonna be crazy. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's gonna be crazy. But these things continue to have to happen because I be soft. I'll be honest. I be soft. I be soft for human beings because I like people. I've always liked people. I've never, even when I was a hardcore black nationalist, I was never one that was just like, oh, you white, we can't be friends. That's just never been me. It's never been in my radar. It's never been me. I proceed in my relationships with white people with a certain level of, discernment and security, but just to be like, oh no, I ain't never been that. I got a lot of people that I love and care about that are like, no, we don't fuck with white people at all, period. Point blank, that's it. You do you, Iapo, you do you, but that ain't no shit we on. You feel me? I don't blame them and I don't have no problem with them. You feel me? But as this country gets more and more violent, as this president that is occupying the White House becomes more and more polarizing, certain people are going to become increasingly violent because everything that they understand about their identity rests on white supremacy. It's what's shaped their whole entire worldview, even as they are poorer than they've ever been, even as they are suffering more than they ever have been, even as they suffer like the rest of us, they will still bank on an allegiance to a mythology. And in that, in their world literally falling apart before their eyes because of the billionaire they put in office. This y'all doing, this y'all shit. You feel me? And even as their world is coming undone because they feel some sense of betrayal by a billionaire. But bitch, we've been telling you for the longest time, why you voting for a billionaire? Why you voting for a billionaire? Like, how that makes sense? Your ass working class, your ass barely make $25,000 a year, but you voting for a billionaire. Okay, you got it. And so now you are reaping the wrath of what billionaires do. That's all they interested in. They'll use you how they need to, but you collateral damage, boo. And so as this happens and catastrophe, descends upon the lives of the very people who put Trump in office, they will still fall right in line. Their object of aggression, their object of their rage will always be misplaced towards some other. And so the increase of violence, particularly at the hands of white people in opposition to melanated people, it is inevitable. It's inevitable. And if there are white people who talk about being up in the space of a black-led organization, of a black female-led organization, and are not willing to make a goddamn vow, a vow to the mother of the absolute protection of the sovereignty of the mother's representatives in real time, this is not a space where you can be. This ain't no hippie shit. This ain't no fucking moon chants and mantras and guided meditation, and that's all we do. That ain't no shit I ever been on. It ain't no shit I ever been on. I will be peaceful and meditative and affirmative once we win. When we win, then we can be peaceful. Then we can chillax. When we win, then we can chill. Then we can stay. Then we can exist in a state of zen and bliss. You feel me? When we win, then we can chillax. What we do in the meantime is rest and recover. Rest and recover. Rest and recover, because every day is warfare out this bitch. Every day is warfare, and the primary target of all the aggressions on Earth, all the wars being waged on Earth, are women and children. Those are the targets. That's why you can hear a story today about how these damn IDF snipers are literally, they're snipers, they're trained snipers, killing babies in Israel. Deliberately, like seeking them out to destroy, to demoralize an already completely battered population. To completely just demoralize and destroy emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically an already completely battered population. So no, there ain't no reasoning. There ain't no rationalization. There ain't no need to try to understand the level of wicked we're witnessing in real time. We have to recognize that we in a straight up battle with the most wicked, diabolical institution that's ever existed in the history of the planet. And that their primary target has been since their emergence, uterus possessing human beings and the offspring of uterus possessing human beings. That's it. Women and children. So everybody's included in that. LGBTQIA, y'all all got mamas. And it is your mother's oppression that facilitated more your oppression. So this is the contest. So don't be sending me no shit about Trump. Nobody, no more. Do not be sending me updates about Trump. Don't be sending me no news broadcasts about Trump. I don't want to hear it. Everything that is happening coming out of that White House is a grand orchestration, a grand distraction of magnanimous proportion. And it's all to get you off task. I'm telling you, there's not an issue that you can point to today that does not have at its center, how do we keep these wealth-producing human beings under control and in our possession? That's it. That's all. That's it. Trying to tell you. Every war, every aggression, every economic, all the how everybody all concerned about what has happened in Europe, that all of these countries have these new, very extreme, right-leaning conservative governments taking over, because it's about controlling the women in the populations where those governments are established. That's it. That's it. That's it. I'm done. I'm tired. So if you're gonna send me some shit about how we gonna win. You're gonna send me some shit about how we gonna get the $1.8 million to buy this geodesic dome down here on Sunset. You're gonna send me some shit on all the inventions created by people around the third world trying to set this shit off, and when we need to be connecting with them. You feel me? If you want to create some shit, help contribute to this idea that I have about how women have to be the new teachers of human history. Women weavers as the weavers of new history or some shit. You feel me? What chapter you gonna write in that book? We gonna write a history book from the perspective of the mothers, and it's going to retell the history of the whole planet and everybody in it. You feel me? What chapter you gonna write? You feel me? Tajali, Fire, Java, Helen, Carlotta, who else up on here? You feel me? All you uterus possessing human beings. And I may even allow, just you uterus possessing human beings for the time being. You feel me? Yeah, all y'all. Lejay, Just Joy, you feel me? LYM Chick, Sage Page, you feel all y'all. What chapter y'all gonna write in the grand retelling of human history from the perspectives of the mothers, of the weavers, of the fates? History according to the fates. You feel me? History taught as a web of connection. Shit. You feel me? So I got a new book. That's the last thing. I promise it's the last thing. I got a bunch of new books. I really did. I got a bunch of new books. But these two books in particular have me beside myself. I'm reading both at the same time. I'm actually reading 4 books at the same time right now. But this one is called, I don't even know why I bought it. The title was just interesting to me. But it says, the name of the book is The Alphabet versus the Goddess. The Alphabet versus the Goddess. The conflict between word and image. Alphabet versus the Goddess. The conflict between word and image. Look at this book. So I got this book, and one day I was having lunch, somewhere, and I was like, you know what, let me just pull out this little book, see what it's talking about. So I'm just flipping through, because I was like, I'm not gonna read it right away because I got other stuff I got to do, but I'm sitting here at lunch. Let me just flip through it. I just got it, like it literally came in the mail. And this was the chapter that I flipped to. You see, I already started maniacally taking notes on it. But the first thing I opened to was on yin yang. I said, what? And you see all these notes I've taken, just sitting at lunch, reading the first few pages, you feel me? This chapter right here, child, has got me in a way. It's got me in a way, child. It's got me in a way. Like, y'all know this my shit. So the very first paragraph, right, is talking about, the beauty of yin yang theory and how it came to be, and it represents completion and equality and complementarity and all of this stuff, and it's so gorgeous, and oh my gosh, yin yang theory and Chinese medicine is so beautiful. And then the next paragraph, she say, bitch, look, paradoxically, Chinese culture has been one of the world's most rigid patriarchies. For the better part of Chinese history, and especially in the last 1,000 years, the status of Chinese women has been abysmal. Okay? During this period, polygamy has been the norm, and many men have treated secondary wives as little better than slaves. Often the primary function of the chief wife was to head a reproductive enterprise whose most coveted products were sons. Indoctrinated from birth to kowtow to their husband's demands, wives often had to adapt to their lowly station by effacing their own personalities. Basically, she's saying, yeah, the shit cute, the little yin yang and all the theories and how beautiful it sounds. But at the same time, this shit was ideologically the thing in the real world during that same period. Women were completely objectified, reduced to nothing more than cattle breeding machines. Guess what? Yo. Well, I've said this several times to you guys. I've had my own personal struggles with my choice of careers in life. You feel me? Recognizing in an instant the contradictions that exist inside the philosophy of the medicine versus what happens in the society in real time. Anyway, that's the first book that I got that's already got me on one. I ain't even cracked open the first page yet, but I flipped through and saw that page and child, it did me. This other book is about to do me too. I ain't even cracked open one page of the book and I already know it's going to do me. Y'all know I dabble in the I Ching. I don't read many of you in the I Ching. I read myself pretty regularly in the I Ching, but it's still not something I'm necessarily comfortable using as a divinatory tool for others yet. And so I found this book by our great Barbara G. Walker, who wrote the Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects and the Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. She had another book I didn't even know she had called The I Ching of the Goddess. And the reason I bought the book is reading an overview of it. She was talking about how the I Ching, of course, is one of the oldest divinatory systems on earth. And of course, it was created by women. And it was extremely, what's she saying? Dynamic. And once it was usurped by the males, it changed the meaning of the I Ching itself and how so much is missing from the I Ching because it is no longer ruled by the goddess. I say, well, here we go. A little deep dive with Barbara Walker on the I was mad because they sent me the book, but it was supposed to come with a deck that she created, an I Ching deck that she created, and they sent me the book without the deck. So I'm still trying to get the deck from them. But even still, I'm like, oh shit, here we is. So that's gonna be something. What else did I get? I ended up finishing buying all of Barbara Walker's work. So this is Alice Walker. So I bought an Alice Walker book. I bought a couple of Alice Walker's books. And then, yeah, but those were the two I was most hype about. All right, I gotta go. I'm tired. Yeah. So I know it didn't really seem official, but this was Temple Service. This is Temple Service. So in 2 weeks we'll do the book club. I just saw somebody ask about the book club. We'll do the book club. Even though I'm going to start reading the Parable of the Talents sometime this week. The book club is not going to be on the Parable of the Talents. It's going to be more strategic than that. I'll probably be going back to Pure Lust. We never finished the whole book club for Pure Lust because I got an attitude about some things that happened during the book club, but there's still some things that keep coming up because people keep commenting on the book Pure Lust that I want to go back to. But yeah, 2 Saturdays. So what is that? Like the 15th or something, I think. We'll be doing the next book club. So 1 temple service, 1 book club a month. And then the spring equinox is this month. There's 2 other events. So it's the book club, the temple service, which is now, the book club. And then on March 10th is Harriet Tubman Day. So we're going to be doing something over at the woman's house who is letting us use the space. I don't know the details. I know it's only 10 days away. Do not judge me. You feel me? But we're definitely going to do a ceremony, but we're also thinking about having like doing like a little marketplace and having a DJ and like making it an actual event. Alex and Day and Reads and others, email me at EvoEmeTemp EvoEmeTemp@gmail.com. And then put book club in the subject header. Okay. EVO, which is evolutionary emergence. EvoEmeTemp at gmail.com. If you want to get a reading, if you want to get a wellness consultation, or you want information about the book club, put those things in the subject header. If you want to make a donation to the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, you can use that email, EvoEmeTemp at gmail.com, to make a donation via Zelle, or Cashapp is $DaughterOfTheFates. Venmo is Cassandra, Cassandra-Floyd, Floyd. PayPal is @Iapo Ngina. I'm eventually going to get that changed, but IYAPONGINA. And that's it. And I'm tired, and I still got jewelry to work on. Oh, also visit my jewelry page, which is on DaughterOfTheFates.etsy.com. DaughterOfTheFates, FATES.etsy.com. I have dope stuff, and I have a lot of new stuff I'm working on that I should be finished working on before the end of the day Sunday. And so I'll post in my YouTube post section, in my Facebook, my IG, so you can get information on how to purchase the new pieces that I am developing, which are dope. Okay. And now I'm definitely going to stop talking, and I'm going to go to sleep. Love you all. Thank you so much for joining tonight's very impromptu live. All right. Peace.